Are our pulp talents on our character sheet?
Should be. Let's take a look.
I'm always forgetting mine, and I feel it could be useful.
Yeah. Hello.
Hey! I've got an archetype scholar, and if I click it, it says 2 pulp talents, but it doesn't necessarily tell me what they are. I can look it up on Dole House.
Go my notes.
Look that up. I thought they were, because I remember setting them up. Yeah, because I've got exactly the talents I need set up for PCs and NPCs who took them. So I can give you an abbreviated list they could be on, though I don't know why they're not on your sheet. Are you not entertained? Did I not set this up? Well, it's pulp. The system knows it's pulp.
Discord thing. I'll read.
It may be in the character sheet I sent you, also in our private messages.
Probably is. That's a good catch. I hadn't noticed that either it's not on here or I can't find it.
There they are. Top right-hand side. Quick healer and sharp-witted.
Top
add-
hand side.
Of the actual printout of the sheet that comes
Oh.
off of Dole. I'm going to put it in my backstory quickly so I don't forget.
Yeah, it's a good call. Huh. Sworn. Yeah, I guess I just don't see him on here. Oh, they're on your gear and cache tab. Obviously.
They are, but there's nothing there.
I may need to drag them on. I may not have dragged them onto your sheet.
I got you.
Entirely possible that I missed that. But they do exist on the sheet. Which are your talents?
Quick-witted, or quick healer and sharp-witted.
Quick healer. And sharpwood. There you go. Now they're on your sheet.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was just going to be on me for not putting them on your sheet. I created them in the system. Since this is an unofficial system, everything from the book I have to actually manually input. So I've only put in the ones that I needed.
Right.
But they're there. I was ready for you. I just didn't actually do it, apparently. So, cool.
Hello.
Hello, all. And welcome. So yeah, first things to do here are everybody roll their luck recovery. So make a standard luck check. If you succeed, you get 1d10. If you fail, you get 2d10.
Now we're gonna all succeed.
We both succeed, yeah. So 1d10.
1d10, yep.
That's your lowest.
Nice. 2 whole luck. Dope.
What? What?
You rolled luck.
Oh, I thought I rolled a Denny one. Here's a Denny one. Oh, I lack permission, so we have to open up your own browser window.
But you finished.
I'll get
Yeah,
my
so I talked to the guy who developed this system, and there is not a way to work around that.
Good enough.
Alright, we'll open up another browser window.
You just wanted to name drop Matt. Admit it.
I don't even remember his name. Honestly,
The guy.
the guy. I think it starts with a J. I don't know.
Okay, Matt, we get it. You're so important. You don't even have to remember his name. That's
Yep.
cool.
That's exactly it. Now, the intent was to make clear, like, I went to as authoritative a source as I could find, and it's not that Foundry can't do it because it works in, like, Pathfinder. His
Right.
game system that he designed does not support one player owning two PCs on the canvas. I asked if he would. He didn't respond. I'm guessing not. But I put it out there. Like, this is the thing we're doing. So, you know, it's an edge case, but it happens. Here we are.
But also, like Cicely just said, our system is never taxed with this the way it is with Pathfinder and stuff. There's no light sources to worry about usually. There's
Yep.
no, like,
Animations, yeah. So we can have multiple browser windows open, that's fine.
Okay.
I know how you love D&D 5e so much, Matt, but have you seen the new, what do they call it, D&D 1 or whatever?
One that they keep changing the name of. D&D
Yeah, that's why I can't remember.
5.5, not 6th edition, D&D 2024. Yeah.
Looks
Everything I hear about
graphically
it
enticing.
makes me... Everything I hear about it makes me convinced I would have walked away from it at that point. Well, that we could have kept playing 5e indefinitely because of all the source materials that we've got. Assuming they stayed available on D&D Beyond, which, given the way WotC's behaving, maybe they don't.
Right.
So, yeah, the new version, I obviously don't know what it's going to turn into, but right now it sure sounds like something I don't want to be involved in. Like,
Did
Right.
you hear somebody open the 1 of 1 ring in Magic?
I
oh,
did.
awesome! Did they throw it in a volcano for 120 grand?
That'd be so awesome.
I hear a lot of shop owners are pretty bitter about it because they can't overcharge for the packs anymore.
Because all the packs dropped by like 40% in value. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Why?
Womp womp.
Yeah,
They-
weirdly, lottery
they
tickets
printed-
cost less if the jackpot doesn't exist.
Right. They
It's
produced
the golden ticket.
They produced a Magic card that's numbered 1 of 1, and it's the One Ring
Yep.
because they bought the rights to Lord of the Rings to make a Lord of the Rings Magic set.
Oh,
The last
already
bid-
found it.
The last bid was for over like 2.1 million for it.
Nuts. There was a GoFundMe going to pay him to throw it in a volcano.
Oh yeah,
Last I saw, it was in the low six figures. It was
I'm waiting
nowhere near
I'm waiting
2.1 mil.
for somebody to lose it, to steal it, to murder somebody over it. Like, if they don't do all of those things, it is a flavor fail.
All right,
Can you
so
imagine if
with everyone
somebody...
worked
Character
their
development
way,
phase.
I'm going to turn on.
Whatever it's called.
Where's one for? Turn on development phase. You can roll all your skill improvements for everything you have ticked over the course of the last what have you.
Damn it.
You managed to upgrade your drive auto. That's crazy.
Yeah. The ones I didn't think I'd upgrade. Anyways.
Okay, how do we do this again?
Unlock,
Yeah.
and then
It gives you a button.
on the left it'll click the character development or whatever.
Development phase.
It's
Rifle shotgun.
There you go. Nice.
This Denny.
Yeah, very nice.
Cool. Yeah.
Oh, Adele.
Oh,
Holy balls.
Yeah, you got lots.
Listen, could have gone up, and you have a couple 1% increases, but you got increases on damn near everything.
Ooh,
Oh, yeah.
charm.
Your law. You're at 6% on law now.
Why not?
That increases your odds of success by 20%.
Attorney at law.
Denny's rifle shotgun upgrade. That's going to be useful. Same with his brawl. By 9%.
Nice.
That's crazy.
All
That's
right.
probably. Did you roll that when you? I don't know. You might have rolled that, and we might have rolled that for you last time when you were.
So how does the percentage increase? How is that determined?
D10 roll.
Oh, gotcha.
So it rolls a
Oh, very
success or
nice.
failure, and then a success it rolls a D10 and adds it in.
Very nice.
And there's something. It changes when you're over 95%. There's something where it's not a D10 to increase once you cross 90 or 95, somewhere in there, but I don't think we have to worry about that anytime soon. I'd have to look it up exactly.
It probably does it automatically. So
It probably does. But just so you know what to expect. I don't want the rules to be obscured for you behind the interface. Both because it helps you make decisions to understand the rules, and also in case we ever get to play it in person with like paper and pencil. You know.
You've got a 100 in a skill. Can you still critically fail with a 100?
You can't have 100. You can have a 99.
99. Gotcha. Okay. So that
Precisely
leaves that-
because you can't always critically fail.
Gotcha. Sweet.
And it would suck to get 100 in a skill, and then me tell you still fumbled when you rolled a natural 100.
Yeah,
Nah, man.
that's fair.
That's a fumble. But it says success. Nah, man. All right.
You missed out on quite a bit there, Denny.
yeah,
Did you read the notes?
yeah,
Phew.
like quite an event.
You missed
And
that on
quite
some
a-
tears, though, so that's good.
There's so many weird, like, here's a pulley system for a lid that you do not want to open.
Yeah, no one.
No one
wanted
was
to
even
open that.
tempted, apparently.
No,
like, no.
Absolutely not. We barely wanted to stay in there. We're lucky that we actually stayed long enough to see what was left in that alcove where the zombies were. Like, we almost left without that.
That was going to be
We
great. When you
out of
left
it.
all the evidence there, burned the place down, like, well,
Well,
you kicked the cult out of New York. Hilton's gonna die, because that was all the evidence.
I mean, he might have been better off dying now that he's lived
I
without
was
his
gonna-
wife.
I was going to say,
Maybe.
you were hoping to reunite the two, but not this way.
It really sucks that she's a zombie, and then I stabbed her in the head.
But now, he's totally on the program. I'll tell you what.
He'll
Is
be
there
the-
is this a scenario where we could have spared her and
Oh,
reunited
absolutely.
them?
Oh, sure.
The problem
We didn't
was
have Leave him
the
alone.
party left the church, they saw a cultist following them, and took off, leaving
Theater, right?
leaving Rebecca and Millie, not the church, the theater, leaving Rebecca and Millie in the theater. And the cult
Yeah.
already knew about Millie because they've been harassing her and Hilton's friends. Rebecca they didn't know diddly about, but she was there and a witness, so
Yeah, we left them to the wolves. We knew
We
that-
sort of killed them. Okay.
Yeah.
no, that's not fair. The cult killed them. You didn't kill them. That's not.
No. Matt killed them, and I am mad at him.
Possible I was in trouble for that.
You are in trouble. You're in so much trouble. Rebecca, at least as a hard-nosed reporter, might be in for it. But Millie, you're in trouble for Millie.
Millie I don't know. I won't say it's fair to say she knew what she was getting into, because she didn't. Nobody understood the cult, certainly. But between the corrupt cops and the cultists harassing her and Hilton's friends, she can't have thought that things were perfectly safe to continue doing her investigatories.
They were being really careful to meet us in this theater and being careful. I thought they were being careful.
They were. They were trying to be careful. But
This is why you let
unfortunately,
the doctor out of the car when he starts pulling himself out of the car.
Yeah, unfortunately, the cult was highly invested in you guys, and once you talked to Millie, it went from trying to harass and prevent to, we've got a chance to shut something down right here, we're gonna do it.
Fair enough.
Because you had gotten way closer at that point than any of Hilton's friends or Millie had, and in such a way, after the showdown in the square outside the Juju house, like, they knew you knew more than they wanted you to, so it wasn't preventing you from finding out anymore. Now they want to fix the problem, and they had to assume that you told Millie all about it, and now they have to fix that problem. Because having Robson and his boys harass them was trying to get them to stop investigating. It wasn't because they knew too much yet.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it's still not fair to think of this as you guys killing anyone. You absolutely didn't. You are not responsible for what the cult does. You could potentially have saved them, although that would have led to a combat, which the outcome is never certain in this game. They could easily have died in that combat just as well. So...
Right.
Anyway, Slough has herpes.
Yeah. Moral of the story is...
That's why he wears the beard, so he can hide it.
His beard
Matt's
herpes.
been sleeping on the couch for a week.
That'll show him.
So mad when Millie was in there. So mad. I would be less mad if Adele died.
She was just trying to help us. She didn't even have to talk to us. She came out.
Really.
She wanted to help her husband.
Yeah. Her wrongly accused death row husband living in racist Harlem, poor Millie, turned into a zombie.
Whom you exonerated.
It's like in those early Walking Deads when the little girl came out of the bar and she was a
She
zombie.
didn't know her husband was exonerated. That's even worse, Matt. You're in even more trouble. She died not knowing her husband was exonerated.
Not cool,
Yeah.
man.
Jake, don't tell your wife about this game.
Right.
Anyhow.
Like their characters, we're prepared to give our lives in the pursuit of ridding the world of horrible cults and undead whatevers.
I feel like we did our best. Put our best foot forward.
I don't know. She could have bought Weird Magazine and gotten on board if she wanted to, but she didn't. So
Bought a weird magazine?
no, Weird Magazine. Or Weird Tales or any of the other important documents.
Cthulhu Quarterly.
Then you'd know some Cthulhu mythos. Can't have that.
Did we get a good night's sleep for health restoration, etc.?
Yes, anybody who's even reasonably close to Max will assume that you had the opportunity to, say you had 4 nights, so as long as you're within 8 points of Max, so you get 8 hit points back from taking a little bit of time, just sort of chilling at the Westchester, licking your wounds, recuperating, and whatnot.
Do we need to be out of development phase
Oh, yeah, I should turn that off. Sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. There you go.
Is 6 points reasonable? Because I've got a +3.
Oh, yeah. So you could have 12. I'm figuring you get 4 nights.
Beautiful.
So
What
you
are we
got-
adding?
What's that?
What are we adding?
8 points of health.
So if I'm only down 1 hit point, I just restore to full.
Yep, you're at full.
And then for sanity, we have a daily allotment, and I'm down 13 of 17, so that would go up to full. Is my daily sanity up?
Yes, your daily sanity, you're fine. That
Okay.
recovers because it's a new day. Your overall sanity has already gone up for end of scenario achievements. Like your daily resets every day. That's fine.
Daily should be full or nothing.
Good question. Which way does this work?
So I'm currently at 0 of 16.
That's fine. Hang on.
I
There's
can't change
just
that number at all.
Oh, daily? Daily should be 0.
Yes, because 17 is going to be the, lost a fifth of your, or 16 is going to be lost a fifth of your sanity in a given day, which triggers indefinite insanity.
What does that do?
Makes you indefinitely insane. Like, there is no time limit on indefinite insanity. If you lose 5
Crikey.
points from one thing, you have a bout of madness. So the way it
Which
works,
would-
if you lose
Right.
sanity points at all for one round, I take control of your character and have your character do something that makes sense in the situation. In Adele's case, when she lost sanity, she froze for a round when the hunting horror showed up.
It's like when we just left after Badlands.
That was 5 points for an individual event. So if you lose sanity, but it's less than 5 points, I take control of you for one round, you have some reaction, and then things resume as normal after that. If you lose 5 points from one single source of sanity loss, that triggers a bout of madness. How long that lasts depends-ish on whether you're in combat or not, potentially whether you're with other people or not. If you're in combat, it's 1d10 rounds. If you're not, or you're alone, it's 1d10 hours, and there are tables to roll on for what the bout of madness is. If you cross 1/5 of your total sanity, your maximum sanity lost in a given day, you move to indefinitely insane. So you'll gain like a phobia or a mania or something.
Yeah, that's what happened to Lois in her newfound Catholicism fervor.
Well, that's a background trait change, which happens on bouts of madness. I tinker with your background and do something. And it's up to me to try and make it fitting and have it either matter or not. But worst case, you could forget an important person. This seemed fairly straightforward and appropriate for reading what was obviously a book of supernatural evil. Nope, super Catholic. You know how I can fix this?
That-
Only
God.
the Lord can protect me now. Are you
So-
able to reset that, Matt? I can't change that number at all.
All right, let me see. Unlock it. Oh, there we go. It's the little undo button at the bottom of the diamond.
Ah, thank you.
You can't manually change it. It just calculates as you do sanity rolls in the game, apparently.
Got it. Thank you.
And so if you lose a fifth of your sanity and become indefinitely insane or gain a phobia, is there a long-term solution for that? Like go to therapy or talk to somebody, or are you just always underlyingly insane?
By default, you now have that underlying insane. You have that phobia. You are now afraid of snakes. That is just a part of your character. If you chose to make it a personal goal to try and overcome that, we would work something out with therapy or whatnot, and we could replace, instead of the normal sanity gains from successful therapy rolls, we could move you towards getting rid of it if you wanted to focus on that.
Okay.
and I'd have to look it up since it hasn't really come up and we haven't gotten close. I haven't paid a whole lot of attention. I haven't reviewed the rules on indefinite insanity and recovery, so there may be a mechanic I'm forgetting. But as I recall it currently, yeah, there's no fixing that. That's just the mythos has gotten to you.
Is there a table on what you have to roll for what the insanity plug is?
There can be. I've got a couple tables I can roll on. There's a D100 table of phobias, a D100 table of manias. It feels better to pick something or do something that fits the source, though.
Absolutely.
Failing anything else, I'll just roll on a table. Because there are tables, but I would prefer to, if you lost a fifth of your sanity, were finally tripped over because the giant snake thing you saw, spray a dude right next to you with poison and he dissolved in front of you. And that's what triggered it. I don't want to give you, a fear of heights. That doesn't make much sense.
Fair enough.
Maybe claustrophobia if you were in a cave, but probably a fear of snakes or of chemistry. I don't know, but something that fits, not just, well, I rolled this and now you're afraid of the sky.
Right.
Yeah, tables are a lot of fun, but they're especially useful when you're just going to it for ideas,
yes,
not for rolling.
Yeah, and I'd go there to look through and skim things you've already put in the game that seem like they might fit. This one seems about right. Let's do that.
You put a lot of work into this list, and I appreciate it. I'm not going to roll.
Right.
Sweet.
And there is... I have to look up the rule. If there's something about Cthulhu mythos and half your maximum sanity, where things stop affecting you quite as much because you're enough over the edge. Yeah, no, that just doesn't bother you as much anymore. Yeah.
When you've seen one guy get dissolved by acid, you've seen them all.
Exactly. So at some point, there's some threshold you cross with mythos and sanity, such that, yeah. And there's also the chance, because we're using pulp rules, that should you suffer a bout of madness, you may end up with an insanity talent for some period of time.
Talent?
Yep.
If you're afraid of snakes, you're really good at punching snakes, or
New goal.
Insane talents. And this would be largely more what seems fitting than, a role. But stuff like insane recall. Remember everything perfectly. Every memory, in fact, the hero ever heard is right at their fingertips. Gain a bonus die to any education, know, or skill roll when trying to remember information that the hero might feasibly have once heard or seen. If the roll has failed, the flood of information is too much. Lose a point of sanity and suffer a bout of madness.
That sounds fun.
Yeah.
Crikey.
And those will last, I think those just end up being permanent on your sheet.
On your permanent record.
On your permanent.
No.
But they're your skin. No. Yeah.
But yeah, in a very Cthulhu normal way, most of them come with some degree of drawback also. But if this fails, insanely intimidating. Bonus die to intimidate. Fail, lose control of yourself for a short time. Maybe you beat up the person you're talking to. Oh. You were trying to intimidate them and suddenly you were very intimidating. Insofar as you started beating them about the head and shoulders with a tire iron.
It worked.
Is it bad that I'm looking forward to some of us going insane?
Not at all. It's part of the fun of the system. You gotta lean into that kind of thing. So far you've done pretty well on your sanity checks, but it's not getting better from here.
No, because you don't get that sanity back.
No. No.
You start off at 100, right?
Yep. Or 90. Start off at your... Yes, you start off at your power, I think. But over time, over a long enough time period, you ratchet it up. So while DVD has relatively low power and would therefore have started at relatively low sanity, given the amount of time that had passed, while the other characters would have had time between Peru and today to do therapy and talk to significant people and whatnot to get their sanity way the hell up there. I think I put you at 80 or something. Just so that you weren't in a party of people with 90 sanity and you have 40, which affords some interesting opportunities, but also is very close to, and suddenly you're screwed because this was designed assuming people still had a lot of sanity and you didn't. So
20% of 40 is a single sanity roll or two.
exactly. So I want it to be somewhat within your hands if your sanity gets down to that point. Like, yeah, but that's because you did things and looked at things and read books and whatever. So it wasn't just, yep, you're hosed, man. Sorry. Anyhow. So yeah. We'll say you have 4 days before the MV St. Celestine is going to steam out of New York Harbor. 4 days, 4 nights. So if there's anything you want to accomplish in essentially 4 days of downtime, go, let me know and we'll work that out. That's obviously not enough time to like practice a skill and improve it. But in terms of if you wanted to make phone calls, contact people, talk to Harvard, take a trip to Miskatonic, I don't know what seems like a thing you might want to do, but you've got 4 days worth of time. We won't play it all out, but I can tell you how it turns out depending what you want to do.
Did we find out what's going on with Silvermoon's husband?
Kind of worried about Charlie.
Fiance Charlie.
You can never come
You can never come back, Charlie.
I think there was a call made at the end of last session, and there was still like no leads on where he was,
Yep.
but an increased worry from his parents, specifically his mom.
Yep. His parents have not heard from him.
Someone should read Africa's Dark Secrets, the book we found, the one that, and we could return it to Harvard, I guess.
The doctor would be more than happy to read that. He's a studious individual.
Hey, nerd, here's a book.
Hey, nerd.
And yeah, we could drive down to Harvard, return the library book. They're like, hey, we found this in a den of zombies. It's probably still fine.
It adds to the value.
No.
Put it in a glass case.
Unless it's like one of those things like, oh, did you read this on the toilet? Like Seinfeld.
All right.
Bring it into the bathroom, don't bring it into the zombies.
Make sure I have the tome reading rules correct. I will need whoever reads this to make a sanity roll.
Sure thing.
Nice. So you do not lose any sanity. Excellent.
Excuse me.
First skim through.
And we're going to, did we decide on London?
I believe so.
Yep. I posted a picture from the conspiracy board from my Europe section. It doesn't have a whole lot in it. But that's what we've got as far as handouts and whatnot.
Oh, there we go. All right, so your initial reading. All right, so you need to roll your language own, so English. Nice.
Sweet. Getting all my good rolls out of the way.
You get 2 points in Cthulhu Mythos.
Ooh. Ooh, that reduces sanity.
It does.
Good news.
Good news, everybody.
So, like, when he tells us what he found in the book, do we all get Cthulhu Mythos?
No.
Or no?
No, you have to actually study the book yourself for the full full weight of what's going on.
Alright.
Right. So, from your initial reading, you gain that it's written by an explorer named Nigel Blackwell during his travels across Africa. It's a combination of a travelogue and expose of the religious practices of a variety of African cults. No publisher is listed, though somebody obviously published it. And you are reasonably certain that with a full study, there's magic in here somewhere. You could probably learn some magic if you gave it a full study. You estimate a full study of this book would be a 6-week effort.
The doc doesn't believe in magic, though.
Exactly where I was going. Would it be reasonable to assume that while he gauges that there's magic to be learned from this book, that it's probably bullshit and he'll hand it off to his more
Adele?
magic-inclined friend, Adele?
Yeah, totally up to you. That is the information
Is it
you,
like
as the
the
player, know you can derive. How the
Okay.
doctor interprets that information, entirely up to you.
'Cause, yeah, I could see it being like either it's saying we've got magic spells in here that do magic, or it could be like this is describing something that you could probably do an experiment with and it might actually work. Like you could take it either direction.
And since you lost no sanity on it, I won't say you have to believe in the magic at all. You believe a full study, at the very least, you believe a full study would give you something the author presumably considered to be a magic spell.
I guess the crux here for me would be, is this something I could understand to be a falsity? And it's like, it's science, in my opinion, rather than magic? Or is this like, hey, if you click your fingers 5 times, meteorites are going to come out of the sky?
No, that's up to you. Potentially, if you'd lost some sanity, I'd say you were convinced, even if you didn't want to be, that there was real magic here, but you don't have to be. Certainly at no sanity loss. How the doctor takes it is totally your call.
Though you did see a snake come out of space.
Right. And Adele can now do that.
Yeah.
After killing someone.
I mean, you can do it without killing someone as long as you want to go with the snake when it vanishes again.
I do not.
Wasn't real. I don't remember anything that night. I woke up the next morning in the middle of the woods.
Sure.
I don't know what you're talking about.
100%. Like that. Whether or not you intended that seriously, that is totally valid. You could absolutely. With about a madness
did.
there, you can totally defend. Like, nope. Blocked all that shit out.
Yep. Deny, baby. Okay, I guess the final determination here is, if Adele reads this book in the same manner I did, will she also gain the benefit of Cthulhu Mythos increase?
Yes, if she successfully reads it.
Your mythos is higher than mine, right, Katie?
My mythos is
Like 20 something.
12.
Oh, we're at the same level. I'm gonna hand this off to Adele.
You know you want to learn some magic.
Nah, man. I'd like to learn some medicine or some science, but that ain't this. This guy's talking too much of that garbage. Talking about magic words. You know, words don't heal people. This is. He's flipping through the pages. He gathers kind of what the book's putting down, and just slams it shut and hands it over to Adele. I think this type of reading is more your style, and he just kind of like. Pff.
So do you want to read the book?
Yes.
All right, then give me a sanity roll. Ooh. Good enough. You're fine. You lose no sanity. You gain 2 points in Cthulhu Mythos and get the same information that the doctor did. You are probably more inclined to believe that if there's a spell here, it would work. But
I think you have to adjust my Cthulhu Mythos.
If you unlock the sheet in the top right-hand side.
Okay, so 2 points in Cthulhu Mythos, and then what?
and then you have the same information that I gave to the doctor.
6 weeks to learn it.
Yep. It would be a
Okay.
6-week study to fully consume the tome.
Okay.
And it was only a several day travel across the ocean?
Yeah, it's not 6 weeks.
Okay.
Depending on weather and whatnot, if you're going to London, I seem to recall it's 9 days. I can look up what the average travel times are.
Get to reading, son. We've got 4 days here, 9 days on the boat. That's 2 weeks.
It needs to be 6 uninterrupted weeks.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which,
it's like
I mean-
first 2 letters of every sentence that you then have to reorganize into words. Like, it's a lot of work, probably.
So it's not just study it on nights and weekends.
It's not skipping to chapter 12 to read it.
This is grad school magic, all right? Get to it.
I mean, I'd certainly be fine with kind of fitting that in every now and again. But I'd say having to spin back up when you take an interruption, it's going to take you roughly twice as long days spent reading it than if you were to just buckle down for 6 weeks. Bearing in mind that these are the kind of time frames you're looking at if you want to get counseling or recover sanity. So it's not like 6 weeks of downtime is just absurd. That can't possibly happen. It can't happen right now because you're booked on a steamer for London at this point 2 days from now. But more broadly, yeah, we're going to call it 9 days. I can't find the table quickly, but not 6 weeks.
9 days without counseling, like just straight up taking it to the head.
Yeah. You're on a ship. I don't know who you listed as your significant... I'd have to look at your backstories to recall who you listed as your significant person, but I'm betting they're not on the St. Celestine. And
I played.
I'll also tell you that the St. Celestine doesn't come with a psychoanalyst. Listed on the crew roster, no psychiatrists.
Listen, Adele is willing to give it a try. Let's put some points in psychology.
I love it.
Psychoanalysis, not psychology.
That's how good she is. It's going to be psychology.
Which is a skill you can develop. I mean, you could become therapists by developing your psychoanalysis skill.
At this point in history, that was not a hard science, right?
No. Not even
Dr.
slightly.
I don't think he was a psychologist.
No, but he had all kinds of quacks who were working for him. So
Cool. Okay.
I mean, Freud was way before then, so.
sure. I was going to mention that Denny is not enjoying this boat ride, no matter what happens.
Cool.
He didn't like it when he was going over the first time, and he's not enjoying it this time either.
I'm sure it's a familiar trip that you'd like to forget.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it will have taken the doctor a day for his first read of the book. It will have taken Adele a day for her first read of the book. Those obviously can't be the same day. Everybody has 2 days, and Denny and Lois have a full 4. If there's anything you guys wanted to do before heading out of town, I don't say this like I'm trying to encourage you to do something. Just want to make sure you don't miss the chance.
It's not before Freud. It's right in the sweet spot for Freud.
Yeah.
Just
Maybe Denny and Lois are going to like see a show and get some food and.
Oh, I can take you to see the family. We're gonna feed you so much pasta.
There we go. He will have a Italian family experience.
Yep. Lois is gonna go see her family, reconnect, talk to her priest. Yeah. Just, talk to, her first communion nun teacher, second grade teacher.
Lois comes back in full garb.
We have like the little lace thing on her head. But there's also gonna be lots of food, so you can tag along. It's always food.
So we could do that unless Adele wanted to spend the other 2 days looking for her fiance, in which case Denny would rather be doing that.
I mean,
Adele is gonna go hunting for Charlie.
In that case, Denny's going to stick around with Adele, and
We guys
Alright,
have 2
you're
free
lost.
days, right?
this is winter. This is lasagna season.
I know.
Ah,
Don't stop talking about it.
Lasagna can be made to go. Why don't we all go and get us some lasagna? Hey.
I'll show up again eventually with a bucket full of meatballs or something.
The biggest sauce.
The biggest sauce.
And those pineapple cookies.
Did we want to return that book to the library?
We ate it. Okay.
What's that?
Did we want to return that book we found to the library? I assume as well.
Take a road trip to Harvard.
Oh,
We can keep it. I mean,
has Harvard ever done for me?
it's a magic book. Let's keep it, and Adele she can just look at it at night, and eventually she can summon some other monster.
Yeah, isn't that the one that you have to study for 6 weeks to learn a spell?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
We're not done. We're not done with this task, man. You gotta keep it.
Fair.
So
I
yeah,
thought it was a separate book.
return it after Adele learns more magic. Summon.
Do we want to take it, because we've got a publisher friend who may know who published the book, and that may be a nice clue. Do we want to take it to him and see what he knows about it, or just keep it for ourselves and screw him?
I mean, do we want him to print it again? It might not be a good idea.
No, but it might be interesting to know the origin.
Sure.
But it doesn't have any publisher information, so
But maybe he recognizes it and would know where
Nigel
backdoor
Blackwell.
publications come from.
Bloody Tongue Incorporated.
Oh yeah, we printed that.
Who's known for publishing this kind of stuff, under
This
the
guy.
radar?
Yeah, it's probably not a bad question to ask.
Don't leave it with him so he can do stuff to it. I'm just saying, hey, you know this book? Okay, slam shut.
Do you know this book? Don't look at it.
Touch it.
I've got a fax of a photocopy of a text message of this book. Do you know it? What's a fax? Actually, we did this last time. Faxes were around, weren't they?
Fax has been around for a long time. I don't know if they were around this long. They had intercontinental telephone lines have been around for a shockingly long time. 1890s at some point was the first London to New York telephone line. Fax is
1843.
23?
43, 1843. 18. It was synchronized by the movement of 2 pendulums with a clock. Good lord.
Cool.
Steampunk.
Mhm.
So did you want to take it to Jonah Kensington and see if he knows anything about it?
Yeah, we can do one day of like investigating, and then I do want to put a day or two into Charlie finding.
All right. Gonna do a couple things. He's gonna have to take a look at the book. He's going to make a sanity roll,
Ooh.
Huh.
which he fails.
Ooh.
Oh no.
And he starts running around his office. Whoop, 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 whoop.
Emotional damage.
1. And then he's going to
I
make
did lowest.
a hard education roll. He makes it. All right.
Way to go, Jonah Kensington.
So he looks a bit shaken, having seen it. He had to glance at it a little bit to know what it was that you were talking about, and he kind of thumbed through it. Didn't do a full first reading, but you can tell that it's affected him on some kind of deep level. Color goes out of his face. He's clearly discomfited by it, and will have no interest in hanging on to the book. He's very eager to hand it back to one of you and get it out of his sight. But he is able to tell you a couple things. Nobody has ever been able to track down Nigel Blackwell. There are theories that was a pseudonym, but no one's been able to confirm that either. And if it is a pseudonym, nobody's put forward any plausible candidates for who it could have been that anybody knows about that would have been writing as Nigel Blackwell. And he can tell you that only 13 copies of this book are known to still exist. The rest of however large the print run originally was have been successfully burned by authorities, professors, institutes of higher learning, etc. As a corollary, he can tell you that this is probably worth a decent amount of money to the right buyer, but couldn't begin to tell you how to find that person who would be interested in purchasing such a thing.
Denny postulates that the right buyer is also someone who could very easily kill us and eat us,
Right? It is the wrong person.
being completely insane. So we may not want to try to sell it.
Fair enough. This may be the type of thing where we get the information out and also burn the book. Though the doctor is a strong candidate for strong backer of open source learning, so maybe not.
Adele have control of the demons than somebody else. Maybe Adele should read this.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, she did read it.
I mean,
But
study it.
yeah. All right. Well, does Jonah have anything else to say about? I mean, do we tell him about all the everything?
No.
Okay.
I mean, it's business.
His poor mind has suffered enough.
Just tell him thank you, and we'll take the scary book away.
Does he
Tell him where we're
I
going.
remember, man? He's not my publisher, right? Or Adele's publisher.
It's up to you. Could be.
I thought I rolled to like have him be interested in being my publisher. I'm just trying to establish.
Oh, that's
we don't
right.
have
Yes.
We don't have an ongoing relationship such that I can tell him be on the lookout for Charlie. Is all.
You could. He was a friend of Jackson Elias's. He knows you've been investigating. He knows you're following up. He's not like bosom buddies, but he's a friendly acquaintance of
Okay.
your
I would-
investigators.
I would let him know that I am worried that I haven't heard from Charlie in a while, and to if he catches wind of him, let him know to call home to let everyone know that he's safe, and to fill him in as to where I'm going.
All right, so you want to spend. That's not a problem. You let him know that.
Yeah.
No trouble at all. You want to spend the last couple days doing what you can to investigate where Charlie might be.
I mean, I don't want to spend too much time.
We'll just make it a roll.
He's a grown man. I know, but I don't want to spend all of our what remaining time we have here in case we want to go to like Mixatonic or Miskatonic.
I don't think we were planning to. We're not returning the book. There's nothing left for us there.
All right. I say I wanted the veto option for everyone else. Like, nah, Katie, that's boring. I didn't want to bogart the time we have left in New York.
I'm also worried about your fiance.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, where's he at?
So, how would you like to approach this investigation? And I'm asking because this will determine what we're going to roll to see what you may or may not find out.
Well, I mean, she wouldn't be worried yet. It's the 20s, and you go long periods of time without contacting people. So I guess it would be like, number one, a New York City ground effort, going to all of the major hotels to see if anyone's, I mean, I probably have a picture of him in my wallet. Going around the hotels to see if he's checked in or if anyone recognizes his picture. Going to any of the major spiritualist type stops, so theaters that are known to host, like we've done tours, places that we've been, theaters that we've been to, homes that we've done shows in, that kind of thing.
All right. So you can either, I mean, what you'll want to do is roll a hard occult check. And I'll tell you, the degree of success here will matter. You need hard to get anything. You will get more if you get an extreme, and you'll get even more on a critical, following up with your occult contacts in New York. So roll an occult check, set it to hard, and we'll see what happens. You're able to confirm that he was in town, but you can't track anything more than that.
How was I able to confirm he wasn't down? Like at a hotel, through a friend?
Yeah, we'll say one of your occult contacts saw him.
How long ago?
The same time frame that he would have been checking out of the hotel, for which you already knew.
Okay. So like just now checked out of the hotel, or days ago?
No, when he would have checked out, I forget what that was. It's Sunday? At Monday?
Okay, so days ago.
Yeah. Yeah, at this point, because that would have taken you the whole last 2 days, a full week ago.
So no one's seen him in a week.
Yep. Not that you've been able to find.
Okay.
All right. Last call, and if there's nothing else, we will get on board the merchant vessel St. Celestine.
I'll note that the doctor's been as close as he can be to Lois, because that's the only person who's given him anything to drink. Like, hey man, you got a cigarette, but it's like, hey, let me get a drink of that, or let me, you know what I mean? Like,
A little nip.
He's been trying to keep a steady, slightly more than a buzz since all this happened, just trying to cope with what's going on.
Hey, buddy, how do you do on boats? Because you might want to give him a cigarette, but you might want to think about how much you drink, depending how well you do on boats. I mean, I've just been on the river, but I
was going to say, does anyone aside from Denny have any experience with blue water sailing?
No.
I would say Lois has been on ferries.
Sure, absolutely. But yeah, I don't suspect, unless you think about your character and I'm not familiar with it, I don't suspect anybody has been on the ocean aside from Denny in transit to the European front and back.
Nope.
Maybe we need to roll for Constitution, see if we're seasick. I don't know.
So Denny, who hates it, is like the one who's trying to help everybody.
Yep.
Great.
Yep. You're going to be fine.
What are we rolling?
All right. Then on the scheduled day, you make your way to New York Harbor. You locate the St. Celestine in its berth. And make your way aboard. Now, to be clear, this is more a cargo hauler than a passenger ship. It's a steamship. Probably, you could look into it more if you wanted to, but at first glance, through the four of you, you'd gather it's between 10 and 20 years old, relatively modern. It's got a steel hull, so it's not old enough or inexpensive enough to still be a wooden-hulled ship, though most of the decking is wood. The hull is steel. Much of the interior is still wood plank. It doesn't have any ship-scale armaments. There are some small arms available in case of piracy and whatnot to be distributed amongst the crew as need be, but she doesn't have a deck gun or artillery or torpedoes or anything like that. This is a merchant marine freighter. And you are put in charge of caring for 6 crates worth of research materials of Jackson Elias's that Carlton is shipping with you, with your consent, over to London. You've made sure, and to sort of set the context here, this well predates the existence of shipping containers. So the stevedores and the quartermasters on board the ship, the loading and unloading process is a matter of just taking randomly sized, weighted, and shaped things and trying to find places to stow them on the deck or in the cargo holds and, tie them down, etc. So it's quite a process. You do make a point of making sure that those 6 crates are accessible to you. They're not buried under a bunch of other stuff in a cargo hold at the bottom of the ship. Between Carlton's money and you being there to see where they go, you make sure that they are below decks, out of the weather, but also top and outside of where some of the cargo is stored. So they are accessible and monitorable to you for the duration of the voyage. Excuse me. The captain, one William Wainwright, escorts you to your quarters, which are up in the officers' quarters area. So the ship has essentially what we call now a conning tower. I don't know what they called it at the time. So there's a building stack of decks sort of just forward of amidships. That's got the bridge at the top. It's got a floor of officers' quarters right below that extends out a little bit further, kind of pyramids down. Then just below the officers' quarters is the officers' mess. Just below that, last floor above deck. So now this last room is level with the deck, is the crew mess and the galley. He escorts you through all of that. He indicates that there's obviously more below decks, ship stores, cargo, engine room, boiler room, all that kind of thing is all below decks. doesn't expect that you'll need to go there, but does show you the cargo area, sort of top aft, where your 6 crates are, so you can get to them if need be. But puts you up in a pair of rooms on the officers' quarters floor. There was one free room, and now the 2 midshipmen are bunking in one room, while the captain has his own quarters. The first and second officers have individual quarters each, as does the ship's surgeon. So it's those 4, the 2 midshipmen, and the 4 of you across the 2 remaining rooms after the...
DVD, a surgeon.
What's that?
DVD's got a buddy, a surgeon.
Yep.
Yeah, surgeons are schmucks. They don't know the general application of medicine.
Yep.
They're just literal hacks.
At this point, yeah, probably.
Yeah, so he gives you a chance to shift your belongings into your quarters. They're obviously not, like, wildly spacious. They're relatively tight. But not claustrophobic necessarily. You've got narrow bunks, footlocker, and space under each bunk to stow some additional stuff. Each of the rooms has a writing desk and a small lamp on said desk, but they're pretty sparse. There's not much in here. Each of them does have a porthole out the conning tower, looking out over the starboard side of the ship. So you can kind of see, if you get real close, you can look down and see a little bit of deck between the tower and the starboard edge of the ship and the railing, and then past that you can see the ocean and currently New York Harbor.
It's like a dorm room.
It's a lot like a dorm room, yeah. Slightly tighter, but not much.
I assume there's no sort of there's nobody that's going to be like weary of 2 guys getting on the ship with guns, right?
No, not at all.
Okay.
What about ladies wearing trousers?
Not a problem.
Trousers.
Trousers
They're more aware of that than the guns.
on dames. If they're already letting women on the ship, then we're fine.
Yeah. Yeah, this is one of those cases where when it's important, the facts of the era, misogyny and racism exist, but I prefer to sort of gloss over them and not wallow in it. You're fine. They're all very forward-thinking people. There are no women on the crew because, well, there are no women on the crew, but no mention is made of your dress or whether you should be on board the ship or anything along those lines. You're fine.
Women are bad luck on the sea.
Right. We're not.
Because have babies.
On occasion, it's important for the story. Like, the whole Harlem thing kind of relies on... There's a degree of just systemic racism that's involved here. But except in cases like that, we're just going to ignore it because why wallow in misery? We're trying to have fun here. So...
Right.
But yeah, gives you a chance to get your stuff squared away. Captain tells you that they'll be steaming out of harbor in just over, or just under an hour, rather. And once they've done that, you're welcome to join himself and some of his fellow officers in the officers' mess for what would at this point be a somewhat late lunch.
We
So you get your stuff stowed, and about an hour, if you wanted to walk around the ship or something, I don't know.
I was gonna say, the ship in the photo here is phenomenal.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Can you
there's
take a
not-
break for children's bedtimes?
They're fine. They can put themselves to sleep.
Those kids are
Honey, go to
fun.
sleep.
You hear me?
Go to sleep, Tony.
Go to bed, Mabel.
We started late, so we could take a break whenever you feel like taking a break.
All right.
We're fine.
The children.
Go away.
Good night.
Love you, no, go away.
Out!
Keep mother, father.
Yeah, you're welcome to move around the ship, though the captain does let you know, obviously, that this last hour there's a lot of activity as last preparations are being made and the last bit of cargo is being tied down and whatnot, and asks you to try and stay out of the way of the people actually working. And he does say actually working, again, not really a passenger ship. They're equipped to handle a couple passengers. They're ready to deal with you, but this isn't a cruise liner of any kind. This is just a ship trying to get stuff from point A to point B. And you have 6 crates of cargo and yourself. At this point, there are no other non-ship's crew on the ship with you.
So
Adele
Von
shows up in
Doister's,
her resort wear, like ready to tan on the sun deck.
Von Doister's going to make a point of still being very wary, even though he was told that the group was run out of the area, still being very wary of the people who had just tried to kill the whole group.
Sure.
For the last week, basically. He's going to post up on the loading plank or whatever it may be and make sure no unsavory customers are coming aboard as whatever they may be.
Sure.
Denny will also be
I'm
watching.
sure all of them are unsavory, but
Right.
He'll be watching from a railing, kind of keeping an eye on the dock, like locking eyes once in a while. Like, yeah, that's right. Just watching.
Sure. So you can either, and it'll depend what you want to get out of what you're looking for. You can either, each of you can either give me a spot hidden or a psychology roll. Spot hidden to see if you can spot any cultists you recognize or anybody that looks like they may be associated with the cult. Psychology to try and get a read on people coming aboard and seeing if they strike you as suspicious or possibly with culty leanings.
I suppose I would lead psychology only because we were told that these folks were run out of town. So if anybody was coming aboard, they would be a bit more hidden than like wearing a mask onto the ship.
Yep.
And Denny's going to be going spot hidden, watching for like weird cargo or if people are trying to sneak things onto the ship or
Crates with human tongues spray painted across the
Right.
side.
that giant coffins, whatever.
Cool.
Property of Bloody Tongue Cult.
This sort of thing is my bag, baby. Signed by Silence and Quane. Nice.
The rolls. Let's go.
Yeah. So, Doctor, yeah. Lots of these people are unsavory. Like, lots of them. You have absolutely no doubt that
There's sea carnies.
quite a few of them, if they were to leave the harbor area, would probably be arrested in short order. But are left alone by the cops and whatnot as long as they stay aboard ship. And in the harbor area, there's kind of a silent agreement, like you stay where you belong and you can get back on your ship and go do your sailor thing, but don't come into the city. You are not struck with an overwhelming sense of honesty or integrity or anything other than a solid work ethic. You don't get any sense that anybody you see is any kind of slacker or is interested in undermining the ship or anything like that. They seem dedicated to their job, but beyond that, most of them have very little to recommend them. Among them, of course, are also people that seem like just average people working for a ship. But you don't get any indication that anybody's here for any reason other than to be a sailor on this ship, do their job, get their cargo to London, maybe get some shore leave, make some money, etc. They all seem on the up and up as far as that's concerned. Denny, looking at the rest of the cargo that comes aboard, you don't see much of interest. Certainly nothing leaps out at you as cult-related or suspicious along those lines. You sort of get the impression from the way some things are handled and some looks that are exchanged at the bottom of the gangway that perhaps not everything coming on board the ship has gone through customs in the most formal of ways. But beyond that, you don't get much. And even then, it seems more likely that there's probably booze changing hands than anything much more inimical than that. Though, you do see some bills changing hands between some stevedores and some not in the harbor as some bags and whatnot are loaded. So it's possible that there is something a little more interesting in there, but you obviously can't tell what. Beyond that, you've got not much. It doesn't seem, as far as you can tell, that anybody that you've encountered would be worried about has been sneaking anything on board the ship.
Right. Boxes, brown, and there aren't any with the circle tongue logo painted on the side or anything like that. Yeah. Okay. That's cool.
All right. So then, after the hour passes, if you're so inclined, you can join the captain and the rest of the officers in the officers' mess for a lunch. As the ship, you hear the steam engines begin to churn, smoke begins to pour out of the main stack, and you can hear the of the screw churning up the water behind the ship as she pulls out of port. You head to the mess. And you're waiting a little bit. The captain clearly is at the wheel and at the con for the beginning to make sure they get out of dock safely and begin to navigate the waterway out to the Atlantic. But he joins you after another 50 minutes or so. Sort of sits down. It's a pretty nice room. It's still tight. There's nothing spacious about this ship, obviously. But everything is clean. The seating is more restaurant booth than inexpensive chair. Tablecloths on the tables, decorative electric lamps are lighting the room. It'll be relatively well lit, even if it's night, which it isn't. It's currently mid-afternoon. Windows ring the entire room, so right now it's very well lit. You sit down at one table, take up kind of both sides of it. The captain sits across the small walkway from you at another table, and it's a little awkward facing each other, but it's not too problematic. And some other gentlemen filter in. And he introduces them in turn. The captain himself is what you might call a salty sea dog sort, with all that calls to mind. He's got sort of the flat cap, a little bit askew, the big but reasonably well-trimmed beard, not actually chomping on a pipe right now, but you suspect he probably has one in his quarters. He introduces you to the second officer, one Troy Beasley. Looks like he's in his mid-late 30s, relatively slender individual. Looks like clean-shaven, brown hair. Looks well kept. Looks like a serious sort. Sorry, that was the second officer, Troy Beasley. Introduces his first officer, Albert Sullivan. Mediterranean-looking fellow, little short, little heavy-set, also in his mid-30s. Ship surgeon, Matthew Aarons. Tall drink of water, skinny, bespectacled, wearing a suit. Doesn't look like he's wearing anything related to the ship necessarily, but just a normal civilian suit. Gives you all a polite nod, which allows you to see sort of the obviously growing bald spot on the crown of his head. And introduces his first midshipman, one Norman Betancourt. Looks like he's in his early 20s. Young guy, eager, pale, freckled, red hair. Clearly not entirely comfortable in this company. You can see him looking a little bit he's kind of retiring, wants to kind of stay out of the limelight. He clearly feels outgunned by his fellow officers and not sure how to act around passengers. Clearly is not terribly accustomed to having passengers on the ship. And the captain tells you that the second midshipman, one Vincent Boyette, is currently manning the con. While you are eating, you may have a chance to meet him later, and gives you the warning that he may have to depart suddenly if Mr. Boyette calls for assistance, since he is currently just navigating the ship up the St. Lawrence out to the Atlantic. So if anything were to happen, or any questions, the captain might have to leave. But the captain seems pleasant and welcoming enough, if a bit rough around the edges. One of the quartermasters comes in with some trays of food, sets down plates of what in today's age we would call basically comfort food in front of you. Tasty enough, heavy on relatively inexpensive cuts of meat, fatty gravy, and pretty good bread, honestly. Captain breaks out a bottle of some generic red wine, says, "Don't tell anyone I opened this while we were this close to shore, but I don't think anybody's looking in here." Pours everyone a relatively small glass of wine. And looks at everyone and says, "So, I know you came aboard with those 6 crates. What brings you to London?"
The doctor's mouth is full of wine as he's drinking it slightly faster than everybody else.
Ah, cat got your tongue. Secret government mission, is it?
At that point, the doctor will finish his glass of wine, put it down, wipe off his face, take a big gulp, swallow it down, put his glass down, and go. We're doing a friend a favor, and we're transporting some goods across the way over there for research purposes.
Research? You, sir, looking at you, Doctor. You look like the college type. I can tell. You 3. Well, far be it from me to assume. But frankly, you don't. What kind of research is it you're involved in?
Academic.
Sort of snorts at you. Fair enough. Fair enough. I suppose it's not really any of my business. As long as there's nothing dangerous in those crates, nothing that'll put the ship or her crew in danger, you do what you want.
Oh no, papers and books and stuff. It's nothing to worry about at all. As he slides his wine glass slowly towards the captain, I'd be obliged.
Captain kind of cocks an eyebrow at you, and you get sort of a long head tilt, not quite suspicious, but observing glance from Dr. Ahrens, the surgeon, as the captain nods. Fair enough. Pour some wine into your glass. Enjoy. You've been on a blue water voyage before, son.
Well, ain't all water blue? No, I haven't.
Fair enough. You may... it hits people differently. You may want to be cautious with the wine and the spirits if you're not familiar with the way the sea moves a ship this size. Takes some people off guard, makes them hilariously ill.
The doctor takes note and goes for another sip, this time slower than before, enjoying it.
Every experience is an experience to be had. Well done. The rest of you, first time on the open sea?
I'm Adele, and yes, this is my first time on I think any body of water bigger than a small lake. So this is really exciting for me. I've heard lots of stories about some of the really amazing mystical things that can happen out on the ocean. It's really, a deep connection to the heart of the earth. Have you ever experienced anything like that out on the ocean?
As you're saying that, you can see the surgeon, Dr. Ahrens, kind of roll his eyes a little bit and lean back in his seat. Not a roll eyes that was it was clearly not intended for you to see or be offended by. More of an involuntary, like, oh, here we go, here come the sea stories kind of tick. Not a oh Lord, here comes the little lady brain with her ideas kind of thing. Just a, well, settle back, someone's gonna tell some ridiculous story.
Sea stories. Sea stories.
Captain leans back in his booth, nods and says, "Aye, many things happen on the high seas and are difficult to credit if you have not been a sailor. But I have to say, I'm not the one with the best stories out of this crew." Turns to his first officer, Albert Sullivan. Says, "Albert here. Don't call him Al. Albert here. He's seen some things. Haven't you, Albert?" Mr. Sullivan kind of slumps down a little bit in the booth. Looks slightly uncomfortable, but not wildly. Says, I've seen some strange things. None of the things you might think of if you're from the land. You land folk tell stories about sirens and sea monsters and the Kraken and whatnot, and I'm not one to judge. The sea contains many mysteries, but I've not seen anything of the sort. But I've been sailing a very long time, and say 12 years ago now, on a route not much different than this one, in fact, a little bit southerly of where we're headed. Saw the damnedest thing. I assume you've all seen shooting stars, aye? You see them fall from the sky. See them come down. You can see they're heading down to the ground from somewhere up there. Well, 12 years ago, in fact, you can see him kind of thinking, in fact, almost 12 years ago to the day. Little less. 11 years and, what would that be, 50 weeks or so ago? Steaming on a ship very like this one. I was midshipman at the time. Was on deck that evening. Looked up. Saw some shooting stars, like which I ain't never seen before nor since. Bright red they were. And they weren't falling to earth. No, they were moving across the sky, trailing trails of red flame behind them. 3 groups of 3. 3 passed overhead into the distance, and another 3 along the same path, and yet another 3. Never seen nothing like it before or since. Saw a flash on the distant horizon, like one of them may have landed in the sea. Didn't see that myself, can't speak to it. But it was quite the evening. Quite the evening.
Adele is amazing.
Drink of his glass. We saw some strange waves after that. Leads me to think my first thought that one of them landed in the sea was right. and must have been a biggin. 'Cause it landed well over the horizon from where we were. But a couple hours later, wave came, hit the side of the ship, rocked us something solid.
Try popping them.
But if you're looking for sirens or the Kraken, can't help you there.
No. Red shooting stars are amazing.
They were that.
Does that sound like anything Adele would recognize from her occultism?
Let's see. You can give me a history roll or a hard occult roll.
What does hard do?
You have to get half your skill or under to succeed.
I'm trying to. I don't math so good. So my occult is 75 and my history is 57. What gives me the better odds?
History. Because to get a
Okay.
hard on occult, you'd need to roll 37 or under.
Okay. Blind or public?
No, it's public.
Hmm.
No.
No, you can't call anything to mind.
Alright. Hey, you sailors. Were those stars in the direction of Africa?
I mean, you wouldn't need a roll. I don't remember if he said it or not, but you could easily ask him. They weren't not in the direction of Africa, because Africa is very, very big. The way he describes it, they were kind of coming north-northwest, south-southeast. Maybe a little more northwest-southeast than that. So you can't be sure. They may have, if they traveled far enough, they may have reached Africa, because Africa, again,
It's very
covers a
big.
lot of north-south territory. But it wasn't, just by his description, you can tell it wasn't as obvious as, like, they're heading west-northwest to east-southeast. They're going to, clearly, if they kept going, they'd hit Lydia. Like, it's not that obvious.
Okay.
This the doctor can get behind. He knows that stars are real and they fall sometimes.
I mean, anybody else who wants to could give me the same history or astronomy, honestly. Either would work.
Do we have
I have
astronomy?
astronomy.
Oh yeah, I had 41 in astronomy. Oh well, 57 was better.
Yeah, you were still better off with history. But yeah, anybody who's interested, you all hear the story. So. Nice.
Wow.
History. Do you have a cult? What's your occult? That's 11, and history is 5. Actually, well, but occult would be hard. So. What do you want?
Let's do history.
Boy,
We're not doing so good. These stars are meant to be a mystery.
Never heard of nothing like that.
No,
You also have
to me.
6 crates of materials that
Yep.
cover who knows what. That could be a library use roll, potentially, if at some point you wanted to take the time to look into it.
yep.
But we can open those crates?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I figured they were inaccessible to us.
No, you made a point of making sure they were positioned such that you could get at them. They're closed. You'd have to, like, nail them shut again. But they're yours. They're your property. I mean, they're not your property. But from the ship's point of view, they're your property.
Got it.
You can dig into them.
The doctor makes a plan, presumably with the rest of the group, about, maybe myself and Denny, every night while Adele is reading her book, trying to get the voodoo out of it. We go and haul a crate into the room and open it up and take a look, and just different crates every night to see what we got.
So that's going to be challenging just from a space perspective.
Mm.
They're full-size crates. You could get it into a room, probably. You can't get more than... I mean, the volume of the room is such that you probably could, like, fit 3 crates in there somehow, but not and access them, you know? Like, they're going to take up the bulk of the free space. 1 crate will. So it'd be a bit of a task to move them up. You certainly can do that one at a time, but it's going to be tough to get more than maybe 2 people to have good access to it and look at it at once in that scenario. That said,
Otherwise,
the room would have the advantage of being fairly private. You can easily find a space on the ship where that's not a concern, where you could easily get at them, open them, but you would run the risk of people walking by and seeing stuff in there, though nobody seemed to be paying particular attention to what's in them. And I'll give you that based on your psychology and spot hidden rolls. When you're watching people board the ship and move around the ship, you didn't pick up that anybody was particularly interested in anything you're doing beyond... It's sort of novel to have passengers and you have cargo, but it's not like somebody's giving you the side eye like, wonder what they've got with them. We should pay attention to that. You're just...
Sure.
You're just passengers, you just have cargo.
My thought process is, if we do the 1 by 1 and just swap them out, we can have 2 people researching that, Adele researching her book, and 1 person standing guard or mixing with the ship or whatever. Also, if we've got it in private, we've, like, 70% of the stuff we've read from this kind of stuff has not been so savory on the person reading it. So, like, if somebody goes crazy, don't want them going crazy on the helm of the ship.
Sure.
In my opinion.
well, if we are studying them in public, 1 person can stand guard while 2 people do the research. I think that'll be fine. It doesn't need to be private, I don't think.
Sure, that's fine.
And
We'll act crazy in this, on the scene anyways.
you are aware that this is Jackson Elias's personal collection. And neither he nor Carlton Ramsey, when entrusting it to your care, made any mention of strange occurrences upon looking at the materials in here. That doesn't necessarily mean everything's safe. There could be books that nobody's looked at that he picked up somewhere, certainly. But you expect a good chunk of it to be his notes, stuff, research he's done, works he's collected, that kind of thing. So potentially safer than, books held in a safe in a creepy mansion that freak out the woman who has no problem hiding a body.
Sure. Gotcha, okay.
Which is, again, not to say that everything in there is necessarily safe. You don't know that at all. But as far as you know, this is a fairly standard, albeit topic-focused, personal library of Jackson Elias's.
Okay. The doctor doesn't have anything he wants to do in particular other than gather boxes and open them up and look at them whenever the time permits.
All right.
He'll also make a note of bringing his shotgun with him pretty much the entire ship ride.
Sure. You will be asked to have that slung rather than just readied in your hands, one way or
Sure.
another. You can carry it. No one's going to look at you sideways for being armed. Walking around like shotgun ready to go is a little unnerving. They'd rather you didn't do that.
Fair enough.
Not even like you have a sidearm, like you have a shotgun?
Let's do it.
He really likes that shotgun.
Yep.
It proved pretty useful. I'm good to go now.
I mean, you get the occasional look because you can tell the normal course of events is if people need to be armed, weapons will be distributed from, armory is a fancy word on a ship like this for a room where they keep stuff like firearms. But at the same time, it's not unusual to be armed. You're heading out onto the Atlantic and there ain't no law out there, so...
Sure.
Okay. Which, of course, by the same token means there's no, court system to throw yourself on the mercy of should something go awry with said shotgun. Well, man overboard?
Right. Okay. Cool.
All right. And we'll say, yeah, you haven't used enough time opening one of the crates, beginning to look through it. Yeah, you find a lot of Jackson Elias's notes, newspaper clippings, magazine articles, a variety of books, some of copies of books that he himself wrote, obviously other sources that he clearly consulted for some of his books. There's a small collection of, at least in the first crate, there's a small collection of just some trinkets and artifacts and stuff that was clearly stuff he'd collected on his travels. If there's an index or a catalog of it, you don't see it in this crate. There may be one. You don't know. There are 5 other crates. You don't need to roll anything, since you're not looking for anything in particular. You're just kind of trying to familiarize yourself with the contents. And I will bear that in mind should it come up later. If there's some knowledge check you need to make that could have been in here, I will, you can remind me, and I will try and bear in mind that you've been just perusing, just trying to gather knowledge as you're going from the contents of these crates.
Sure.
We'll say the first day of the voyage goes unremarkably. You steam out into the Atlantic. You're making, as far as you can tell, pretty good speed. You keep chugging along, and it's not too long before you see the American coast kind of fade over the horizon into the distance. And you are surrounded by the open ocean. Night falls, and those of you who haven't been aboard ship before will be struck by the real dark out here on the ocean. The ship has running lights. There are lamps. It's not pitch black on the deck of the ship, but certainly if you look out over the ocean, it's just black ocean, black sky. There's a little bit of light coming from the moon. The new moon was only 4 days ago, so it is waxing, but it's still just a sliver of a crescent, not shedding much light. The only way you can really tell the horizon looking over the edge of the ship is, well, you don't see stars anymore. You can't really see a line, but there's sort of a line where no more stars and just blackness. You can see the Milky Way in a way that you haven't had much of a chance to see before. It's something. It's an experience. You all can decide how your individual characters take it, but aside from Denny, who crossed this ocean before, for the rest of you, it's quite isolated. It's isolated and very dark in a way that even being way out in the sticks on land doesn't feel quite as isolated as out here, where the ship is all there is. There's nowhere you can walk to. There's nowhere you can go. This is what you got, and you're surrounded by the Atlantic. And there's a good enough place to take a break, regroup in a few, and see what the next day of the journey brings.
How did those of us fare who haven't been on a ship constitutionally?
Sick or something?
We will be checking that when we come back.
Okay. Cool beans.
Alright.
See you in a second.
Yep.
Is it?
Hello.
First two on.
Hello.
Hello?
And hello.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hello.
By the way, I've got Tony watching some Mystery Science Theater and everything.
No, yeah.
Everything that he doesn't even get, all these references he's still laughing at. Hilarious.
So
Stuff
then
like, all right, good.
we watched that as 11-year-olds and thought it was hilarious and also didn't get half the jokes. Doesn't matter.
Doesn't understand any of the references.
But you understood the prop comedy, and that's what's important.
Yeah, but some of the references are just like goofy, like fart jokes and,
They'll
I
still
remember-
hit us hard this day.
I remember the first time I saw that show, I was on spring break down in Florida. My brother and I were like staying up late watching TV at my uncle's condo, and we just like fell into it by mistake. And it was Santa Claus versus the Martians, and we were just rolling.
right? It's like a fever dream. Like, what
Yes.
is this?
Well, but to be fair, back then, when you saw random weird TV stuff, like that happened more often. There was
Wow.
always a lack of context that just isn't happening anymore nowadays.
No, a lot more often.
Yeah.
Like, if you watched only the big three networks, less of a problem. As soon as you went off those three and into any local feeds, much less local UHF feeds.
I was going to say, my brother and I have been looking for some of the stuff that, like, total Madison randos put on public access, just videos that people made. Oh my God.
Yep.
And it's impossible. Like, the idea that everything's on the internet is a lie. There are so many things that are just gone.
Oh, yeah.
Like, gone.
Like the Pac-Man ice cream
Yeah.
that I know existed but cannot find pictures of.
Yep. I mean, the thing to bear in mind is Mystery Science Theater 3000 is precisely because at their little KTMA UHF station, they had a box of just movies.
Yep.
And they needed to fill time. Like, I know how we can fill an hour and a half of broadcast time.
Yep. No money needed.
One of the reasons why that's still around is because they encourage people to tape it, pass around the tapes,
Keep sharing the tapes.
Circulate.
and early, like, just, yes, circulate this as much as possible.
Yeah. Please do some.
Yep. Like
Oh, that is
Early
fun.
Some of my favorite shows I discovered waking up at 3 a.m. in a hot sweat. Like, I left the TV on. Oh, what's this?
Yeah. Do you know how many times I accidentally watched after 1 a.m. parts of the heavy metal movie without ever knowing
Yeah.
called or anything?
Nice.
Why did I see that? That's on like. It might be on Shudder. It was someplace weird. Like, showed up there.
I mean, it is terrifying.
It has monsters.
And it's more terrifying in a meta sense that this got made. But,
The heavy metal movie?
yeah,
I like that movie.
it's awesome. But imagine the kind of world and the kind of people that have to exist for that movie to happen.
Oh, I thought you were dissing it. Like,
No, it's a great movie.
Those are guys who grew up listening to the Misfits live.
Yep. Like, yeah. So, it is terrifying that it got made. Not because there's anything wrong with the movie, just because some number of people died in the making of this movie just from overdosing.
Oh, I wasn't sure where you were going with that. Like, what? Like, when you hear that people, like, died during or shortly after the making of that Poltergeist movie, I thought you knew some movie lore that I did not, and I wanted the details.
No, there's just a bunch of people who lived really hard.
Yeah. I don't actually know that anybody died in the making of that movie, but I would not be at all surprised. Like, yeah, so he snorted a pound of cocaine. He didn't make it.
But it wasn't Rick Moranis.
I was going to say, except for
Rick
like
Moranis, the cleanest living dude in show business.
all the SCTV guys and
John Candy, right?
John Candy.
Oh,
yeah.
man. Yeah.
Well, John Candy.
John Candy.
Like, John Candy was.
Like, and I love John Candy, but the idea that he wasn't snorting cocaine is...
No, not him.
That whole episode is just them doing space cocaine. Like they have a space cocaine dispenser on the floor.
No. You're confusing that with Galaxina. That's a different.
Speaking of dying.
Speaking of having the tape,
Oof.
I bought that when Video Station closed down.
Nice.
Galaxina?
Yeah,
You voluntarily paid money for that?
I have the tape,
I paid money for that.
and no one can take it.
57, 58, 32, 33. Oh, God. Okay. Anyhow. Yes. Everybody but Denny, give me a Constitution roll.
Why? Oh, that's right.
Or cucumber.
Oh, God.
Constitution.
Where is Constitution?
That'll do.
That'll do, pig. That'll do.
Oh, Adele's not
Wait.
doing
Ooh.
It was almost a 1.
Yeah. Here, Adele's having a rough go of it coming into the first night. It's not great. You're not getting a lot of sleep.
I was gonna say she went out on the deck to go like commune with nature and be close to the stars, to the Milky Way, and then
Nature's like,
Fed a lot of fish.
Remember we were on the boat to do the manta ray thing? I've been on water before, no problem, and then all of a sudden I was just barfing in the ocean. Like I don't know what's happening. I can't stop it. Oh my God.
That's why my problem with VR and Project Cars is so frustrating. I have never gotten motion sick in my life, including on that. And I was tempted to take Dramamine because I'd never been out like on the ocean, certainly in a craft that small. Like, yeah, but then you'll never know. And I was fine.
I've been on plenty of boats, and then I was just suddenly uncontrollably barfing into the ocean. It was coming out my nose. It was thoroughly unpleasant and unexpected. I've never been seasick or car sick. Anyway, Adele went out on deck to go commune with nature, and
Commune
was
with
barfing
nature.
over. Yes, and was feeding the fish.
All right. That'll bring us to our second day. At which point, Adele, you may as well roll another con for day 2. We'll see how we do.
Search's turn.
Much
There you
better.
go. You're
There's
recovered.
nothing
You're fine.
left in my stomach. Empty.
So, second day, you're still going through some of the crates. Contents of the next crate are essentially the same. More research materials. I'm assuming you're browsing them, but I don't have specific information to give you. Few more, knickknacks and artifacts that he apparently picked up in his travels. Nothing that looks like it belongs in a museum, but also not like a snow globe of Cairo, you know. Is there anything anybody, excuse me, anything in particular anybody wanted to do on day 2? People to talk to, questions to ask, anything you wanted to accomplish aside from continuing to go through Jackson's library?
The doctor would check on Adele and see how she's doing with her book reading.
I'm fine. Don't come in here.
Yes. Yeah, so note down somewhere you will have spent 2 days studying the dark sects of Africa.
2 days.
All right. If there isn't anything else, we will say you have a standing invitation to eat in the officers' mess. Other meals you're there. You do eventually meet the second midshipman, Vincent Boyette. But you don't have another meal with as many officers in the mess at the same time as there were that first day. They all have other duties. They kind of rotate in and out. You see each of them at various points, but you don't have kind of that all get together kind of thing, which is probably for the best because that did fill the room to capacity.
And where are the rest of the crew eating? Are they in like a separate mess hall? Are they about the ship? Are they in different like subgroups? Are they all together?
The crew mess is the next deck down from the officers' mess. So you've got the officers' mess, which is the first deck that isn't at main deck level, and then on the main deck, the enclosure is the crew mess and the galley, and the galley serves both the officers' mess and the crew mess. They have their own ladder to get from galley up. And you're also welcome to eat in the crew mess. You don't have to join the officers for meals.
The doctor would like to take at least one meal, preferably not alone. He would emphasize this to the group. At least one meal in the general mess, so that he can get a feel. He's still not entirely convinced. Everybody hears like,
You have to read.
oh, we're here for you, sir. Congratulations, you've joined the ship. But like, he's just trying to keep an ear to the ground.
He wants to go dance with the lower class, like in Titanic.
Exactly.
So the doctor would like to take a meal at the crew mess. Anyone joining him?
Adele has her own
Lois
mess.
will.
All right. So yeah, you can take, I don't know, we'll say dinner in the crew mess. The food is not as good. It's filling. It's not bad. But this is much more clearly canned goods, reconstituted dried goods, long-term storage food. Like I said, not in any way offensive. It's not bad. It's just functional. Over the course of the meal, you try and pay attention to the crew. Nobody really approaches you. Nobody's really trying to like get to know you or be buddy-buddy. You're a little bit out of place, but it's not like walking into the world's worst townie bar either. Everybody treats you just fine. You don't feel unwelcomed, but nobody is also making an effort to get to know you. And there's nobody serving food. You're going up to the line and just getting food served up on a tray like everybody else. So yeah, I'd say they're friendly enough if you try and talk to them, but they're clearly not particularly interested in making conversation. Your opinion that they're not particularly here to serve you is 100% on board. Like, you're on the ship, you're paying, that's fine, but none of their jobs are to make your life easier. They've got jobs on the ship of their own. You want to eat down here, that's fine. You do your thing. You don't pick up anything more sort of off-putting than just a general, all right, kind of attitude. Like, yeah, fine, you can eat, and then do your thing. We're gonna go do some real work. You enjoy your travels or whatever.
Hoping to hear some cool stories, but there's probably not a lot of people talking about, eldritch horror from beneath the sea at the mess.
No, if you were to pay attention, I'm sure you could pick up various sailors talking about their experiences at sea. But nobody's trying to make an effort to tell like sea stories because they're all sailors on the same ship. So they'll tell personal stories about things that happened to them on various other ships as part of just conversing with their crewmates. But yeah, you don't hear anything particularly fantastical.
When Adele feels better, she would continue to eat with the... Oh my gosh, I just had the word and now it's gone. Not crew.
The officers?
Officers.
All right. You do, you're welcome. The officers, as they kind of cycle in and out and you talk to various of them at different times, they do seem to be making a bit more of an effort to engage you in conversation. They certainly don't give the impression that they are here for you, but you do get the impression that they are invested in making your trip as comfortable as is reasonably possible.
Part of Adele's chit-chat conversation was to try and get the, so tell me your story, like, where are you from, what brought you here?
Sure. You get, for the most part, they're relatively open about it. They come from a variety of different places, all within the United States, as far as you can tell. The officers, at least, are all American. The midshipmen, each of them apparently comes from some small town on the coast. They're probably the most open with you because they had less going on in a lot of ways. You are lower stress than dealing with the executive officers is for the midshipmen. They're friendly enough to tell you about where they came from and their families and what they're hoping. Each of them's planning to make a career on the sea, trying to work their way up the ladder. You learn some about the merchant marine, which is sort of an odd cross between like a naval vessel and just a private company. They don't have like a naval academy or anything like that, but they do take rank and progressing through rank, and the difference between officer and enlisted, not technically enlisted, just crew, so it's not a military service. They take that more seriously than some private ships do. Any ship you're on, the captain is the captain. That doesn't change. Navy, private, merchant marine. But you get the impression that a lot of like cruise ships, private cargo haulers, there's less formality laying out captain, first officer, second officer, ship surgeon, first midshipman, and second midshipman. There's a clear hierarchy between captain and then, the kind of org chart of officers beneath him. But this seems a little bit more formalized. They don't quite have a uniform per se, but they all dress fairly similarly and do wear rank insignia on whatever coat it is they're wearing. So, this would strike you, Denny, because you have experience on naval vessels, as not as formal as the Navy, but with a certain sort of like police versus military kind of organization, where it's not, we don't have generals and colonels and captains and lieutenants, but we do have ranks and they matter,
It is paramilitary.
Yeah. Exactly. At least among the officers. The crew, it's much more just like private employment. They don't call them managers and like associates or whatever, but you've got like your chief quartermaster and all the quartermasters work for him, and the head chef and all the cooks who work for him, and the head engineer, the chief engineer, and all the assistant engineers, etc., 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 down to the tinkerers and smokers, or stokers rather, working down in the boiler and engine room. Second day passes without incident. As night starts to fall, which is relatively early, it's still February. It's pretty chilly up on deck, but you've got the clothing for it. Night starts to fall. You can see some clouds rolling in. The sky isn't as clear as it was. You don't get the impression there's a storm brewing, but there's a little bit of cloud cover. And the second day draws to a close. Adele, you've got your sea legs. You're fine. You've recovered from your seasickness, and you all continue to, dig through Elias's library and try and peruse what's there and get a handle on what kind of information it is that you're carrying. As we get towards morning, I would like your choices are going to be
How many puppies you want?
you can make a listen, navigate, operate heavy machinery, or mechanical repair roll. Everyone.
I say that again.
Listen, navigate, operate heavy machinery, or mechanical repair.
Uh-oh.
At least Denny's got his shit together.
Listen, Adele is communing with nature. I don't know what more you want.
This time for real.
Nice. So, that'll be one person in each room, which may be handy. Because obviously, you've been assigned a boys' room and a girls' room. Just to be clear, that was not optional. So, Denny, a couple hours before dawn, you wake up, and it's not clear to you exactly why, at least at first. Then you realize that the ever-present churn of the screw and thud of the steam engine have stopped. Lois, similarly, your familiarity with machinery, as the steam engine spins down and the screw stops turning, you are also awakened by the change in the feel of the ship as the machinery that makes it go comes to a halt. It's about 5 a.m. Dawn is a good 2.5, 3 hours away.
Denny will wake up the doc a la Raiders of the Lost Ark, loading the pistol, saying the ship stopped.
The doctor will similarly pull his shotgun out from under his pillow, which was extremely comfortable, and hold it at the ready. What's the deal? What do you mean the ship stopped?
Denny says, I don't know, I'm going to go find out. Holster his pistol and exit the room.
Doc in tow.
All right. Lois, anything?
Similarly, we'll wake Adele and tell her, hey, wake up. Do you hear that?
No, I'm asleep. I'm sure.
You can be awakened. You just weren't woken up by the sensation of the machinery.
I have like one of those little pink stat eye masks on, and
Of course you do.
I wake
All right.
up.
Lois is gonna tear all the blankets off. Be like, get up, be quiet. I'm gonna go check something out. You can stay here or not.
Get up, be quiet.
What's going on?
Listen, do you hear that?
No, I don't hear anything. What's going on?
Wait, you should hear a big boat motor.
Oh.
Listen,
Oh,
do you smell something?
Yes. All right, I'm gonna go check it out. She does not have weapons. She's just gonna go out and see if someone needs help.
Are we in a conjoining rooms, or are they like across from each other, or are they like all the way down the hall?
They're essentially across from each other.
Okay.
I'm gonna be
narrow
coming.
corridor between.
You guys are gonna come out, I assume. Like, geez, okay, I didn't know this was a gun party.
So one of those.
I was just gonna see if they needed help with any ship repair or something. I don't know.
So yeah, we'll say you come out, you see each other. Where are you headed?
Wait, did you tell me to wait in the room or come with?
I said come with or not. I don't care.
Oh,
Get
okay,
your ass
come
out.
with. Like, nightgown, torched with my, I don't know, a candlestick in hand.
Left in her clothes, so she was just good to go. Maybe someone should find the captain and see what's going on.
Denny will sneak up to
Maybe I
deck
should-
level.
And maybe I'll go check the boiler room.
Well,
or
you are above the main deck right now. So
Oh, okay.
the main deck,
So
the bottom level, which is at the same level as the deck of the conning tower, is the crew mess and galley. Right above that is the officers' mess. Right above that is officers' quarters, where you are. Right above that is the bridge.
okay, so
Well,
Denny,
maybe we should talk to the captain first, and then if he sends us down, and go down. But I think maybe we should stick together. Right?
sure.
Let's go talk to the brass.
So you heading up, down, knocking on doors.
Up.
To the bridge.
All right. So it's a single file affair to get up to the bridge. They call upstairs, but they're ladders. You kind of poke your head up onto the bridge, and you see the captain at the port side windows of the bridge, looking out at something. Assuming you're not trying to be stealthy. He hears you as you come up onto the bridge, kind of turns to you and says, strictly speaking, you're not supposed to be up here without an invitation. But consider this your invitation. Come on up.
Nothing wrong? We stopped.
Denny climbs up.
Aye. Wasn't sure if you people from the land would be awakened by it, but we've stopped. There's a ship over there. He kind of points through the windows. Miracle we saw her, stayed in the light, but there she is. Not carrying running lights. Looks like she's got a little bit of a list to her. Not sure what's going on yet. We're up alongside her to find out.
How far away is this? Can anybody even see this, or are we not attuned to?
If you come up and walk onto the bridge and go over where he is, you're probably able to see it.
Are we like half nautical mile out? Is it like right up on us?
I know that's up to you to find out. Since it's a single file, I know Denny has come up onto the bridge. I don't know what everybody else is doing.
All right, Lois is going up.
All right. If you all come up onto the bridge, you can go over to the port side windows, and you are right alongside another ship. You can't make much of her out. You can see sort of the way you were able to identify the horizon by where the stars stopped. You can see that the stars stop along a more irregular line off to port, but you can't make out much detail aside from where what appears to be a searchlight from the St. Celestine is playing across the neighboring ship.
Is this a ghost ship?
And you're right up on it. Like when he said that he brought the St. Celestine alongside her, he brought the St. Celestine alongside her. Nobody has at this point, but you could throw a line from your ship to that.
Doctor's seen enough of 1899 to know what the hell's going on here.
What's 1899?
Watch it on Netflix. pretty
Oh,
good.
I did want to watch that.
Pretty good.
I
So-
heard that it peters off.
Denny will say to the captain, I'm going to go out on deck and watch to make sure we don't have any surprise boarders.
Fair.
The dock is close in tow. He was waiting for something like this to happen. He was posted at the gate when people were loading. He was eyeing people when we were doing our thing. He is ready for some sort of sabotage or boarding or
Shenanigans.
some crap.
As you begin to head down the stairs, the captain calls out, "Hey! Wait! I don't know if you'll recognize it, but look at that!" And if you go to the window, you can see that the searchlight has landed on a spot on the side of the neighboring ship that looks like it's clearly been patched in some way. There is mismatched sheets. There are mismatched sheets of steel that look like they've been roughly welded to the outside of the hull on this side of the ship. The searchlight pauses on that for a second, then pans up towards now what you recognize as the bow of the ship, which appears to be at least not heading, facing the same way you are at this point. And you see it play across the ship name. It reads HMS Arpactic.
Arpactic?
Yep. I'll put that in the Foundry chat.
On his way down, the dock will have scanned that, seen the name. And are you familiar with this, Captain? Are you familiar with this vessel?
As the light hits the name, the captain takes a step back from the windows, looking surprised. Turns to you and says, "Hi. The Arpactic's been missing at sea for more than a decade."
Son of a bitch.
Oh, this is a ghost ship.
Ghost ship.
Mary Joseph.
Careful not to startle the captain, because I do have a shotgun in a sling as requested. I will slowly bring it from sling to hold position with very little knowledge of how to handle a shotgun. I'm sure Denny's got some things to say about it, but
Just teach him some muzzle control or something.
Firearms, including long arms, are common knowledge in the area. You know how to operate a shotgun. You're not terribly good at hitting things with it in comparison to other people. But you understand having been
Fair
a
enough.
child and growing up in America in the era, there's no way you didn't get some familiarity with long arms over the course of your life. So you're not handling it like you don't know how it works. You know how it works. It's just not a skill you've particularly practiced. So
fair enough.
in a combat situation, it's not quite as likely to work for you, but you're not clumsy with it.
Fair
He kind of looks at you, looks at the shotgun. "Son, that ship's been missing for 12 years. I don't think there's anybody aboard her you need to worry about."
Was she patched when she went missing?
No way of knowing.
They're
Came out of
pirates.
London, late January 2013. Headed for New York. Never arrived.
2013. Well, there's your problem.
1913. Yep. My bad.
From future.
Sorry. Nope. 1913. I'm only off by a century. Cut me a break.
Yeah, but what if someone took the ship? Pirates. Somebody, and now there's people on that ship who killed the crew, and now their ship now. Like, I say yes, doctor, please exercise as much caution as you think is necessary, because this is creepy as heck.
Can we go on the ghost ship?
Captain shrugs. Like, I'm the first to say many mysteries on the sea. But I can tell you, She didn't have 12 years of stores on her, and she's not been seen since then. She's also not underway. Screws aren't turning. No lights, running or otherwise. I don't know what happened to her, but I don't mean to offend anyone's delicate sensibilities. But anyone left on board that ship, dead.
Under his breath, the doctor will say, "It's not the dead I'm scared of. It's the folks that were once dead." He doesn't really know how to comprehend what coming back to life is.
I mean, we've had some close encounters with some dead folks that, really cause a lot of trouble. So. We can,
Captain looks at you for a long moment. You can see him debating whether to say something.
never mind. It's an inside joke. It's all right.
I never understand the sense of humor of a landlubber.
Yeah, it's a Brooklyn thing.
It's an Earth joke.
Literally.
You're not wrong.
I mean, we'll find out. If there is anyone alive aboard her, they're here to render aid, but if we're honest, my plan is to tie her up, haul her over the sea, and claim the salvage. You're on board. You were to share.
The doctor perks up a little bit at that. Like, okay, I can get on board with that as long as I'm monitoring the situation.
I mean, if we're going to be tethered to this, though, we're going to have to go. I mean, are we going to go through with some of your men, and are your men going to go through and make sure it's safe?
Oh, we'll be sending a party across as soon as we can. Important to know, if nothing else, whether she can operate under her own power, and if not, whether we can get her to a state where she can. Be a lot faster across the ocean if she's helping us sail. If we have to just pull her along, your arrival will be delayed a little bit. But the value of salvage of a Royal Navy ship missing for 12 years, make it up to you and your share.
Adele is just super thrilled at the thought of going on and communing with the spirits of a ghost ship.
The doctor is much less enthusiastic.
Ghost ship.
Matter of fact, I don't plan on boarding unless I'm like convinced extremely. I don't plan on boarding with the party, the original party. If they, let's say, don't come back in
Right,
a reasonable amount of time.
Absolutely, that's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, Denny will say if it's all right with you, I'd like to head over to the rail and just keep my own eye on it.
Absolutely.
It's a ghost ship. You don't want to go on and see what maybe happened to these people and try and get clues. And this is amazing.
Yeah, sweetie, why don't you let the men go on board and do a little sweep and make sure everything's okay.
Lois,
They come back okay?
I'm disappointed in you. Let the men go on.
What did you do in our last fight? You took pictures. What,
Here we go.
I'm the one stabbing zombies in the neck.
Denny will try to tone all this down. Like, okay, hold on.
So
Let's stay out of the way of the folks who are doing their jobs.
if they don't come back and there's some problems, then maybe we'll go help. And if they come back and everything's fine, then all right, you can go back and commune with the souls of the dead. I wouldn't mind going over, say a little blessing.
Denny gives sort of a half
R.I.P.
apologetic, half embarrassed glance at the captain, like,
Women.
Sorry, It's an inside joke again.
Ladies.
We're functional, I swear.
But I do want to keep an eye on the folks who go over to the other ship. So we could all watch from the railing, maybe.
Yeah.
Sure. All right. You head down to the railing on the port side of your ship. The searchlight continues to scan back and forth across the hull of the Arpactic. And beyond the patch, you can see on this side of the ship, you can see also it's broadly similar construction to yours, similar size, little bit shorter fore to aft. But it does have 2 deck guns, one forward, one aft. Both of them down in a inactive position, but you see the deck guns. The conning tower looks very similar to your own. You can't tell the interior layout, obviously. Iron-hulled ship, which is made more obvious by the fact that the outside of the hull right now, from where you can stand, looks like more rust than iron at this point. There are some spots where you can still see patches of gray paint flaking off it, but far more of it, as the searchlight plays across it, looks rust brown than anything else. You watch as 4 lines are cast from your ship over to the railing, each of them with a hook on the end. They catch on the railing of the Arpactic, and one sailor apiece shinnies over the rope up onto the neighboring ship, makes the line fast.
Is that Adele? I want to do some shimmying, Adele. That look fun. Adele.
At the prospect of getting onto a ghost ship, Adele would shimmy.
After they secure the lines, you see some more crew bringing up from the hold of the St. Celestine some broad, long planks of wood that they lay down across the gap. And on each end, sailors begin attaching those to the respective railings. Even at a quick glance, you can tell that were the St. Celestine or the Arpactic to, under any kind of power, turn one way or the other, there's no way those boards would hold the ships together. The lines may or may not. You don't know. You don't know the tensile strength of naval rope. But the walkways look secure as they are, but also look like if one of these ships put her engines to it, they would not be anywhere near as secure very, very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
You can see a group of... Sorry, there are 2 boards laid down. So there are 2 walkways now and 4 lines. You can see a couple sailors get up in each of the walkways, start beginning to cross. And you see one of the midshipmen, the second midshipman, Mr. Boyette, and the ship's surgeon, Dr. Ahrens, get on board the planks and cross over to the other ship. Time begins to pass. Anything else we're doing? We want to skip forward? I don't want to deny you an opportunity to, act if you want.
The doctor is just hold fast directly against the edge of the ship, looking across. It's like you said, fairly dark except for the... Is the searchlight still going across?
Yep, it's panning back and forth across. You can see a little bit more as the sailors and officers brought flashlights with them. So you can see more lights moving across the deck.
The doctor's eyes just keep following the searchlight, gun held too close to his chest.
Yeah, Denny will keep watching as well, the space between the boats, basically just to see if anything moves around or is somehow... if there's anything in between the ships.
Sure.
But less focused on like what's happening on the ship, more on what's in between the ships.
All right.
And Adele at this point is just seeing this as a ship of lost souls. So she's saying a healing prayer to release them to the great cosmic energy.
Join you in the prayer thing. She's gonna
After 30, 45 minutes, somewhere in there, you see the midshipman Boyette come back across one of the gangplanks and walk over to you. You specifically, Doctor, looks at you and says,
Jesus.
"Excuse me, sir. I've been led to believe that you're a medical doctor.
That's correct.
Dr. Aarons asked me to come over and see if you're willing to join him to take a look at something."
The doctor, shotgun still pressed close to his chest, looks at the rest of the group, is pretty hesitant to respond. But if everybody's like, meh, like he'll go if nobody stops him. But if they're like, whoa, I don't think that's a good idea, then he'll like push back against it.
They came back alive, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
At
that
this point,
sounds
you're
good.
seeing you've seen a couple sailors come back and a couple more go over. You don't know their individual roles, so you can't really derive why some may be preferable to others. But people have been moving back and forth a little bit, at least.
His pride may get the better of him in thinking that a surgeon needs his help, because he's not a surgeon, he's just a medical practitioner of sorts. So he's got a general knowledge, but surgeon, even back in those days, was a top tier medicine man. So, I need help. Okay, I can help him if he really needs it. He slings his shotgun around his back and hops up on the plank, and he looks back at the group. And would the good surgeon mind if I've brought a friend or two across as well?
Not at all, sir. You are all welcome. Though, Doctor did say it was your opinion he was looking for.
Von Doyster looks back at the rest of the group and kind of just gives it a shrug, like, I don't really want to go by myself. You guys have been my rock in this experience.
All right.
The doctor gets to go. Come on.
So should we all go?
Yeah. Let's stick together.
Yeah. We'll see.
All right. You follow Midshipman Boyette over the plank. Unless anybody has a particular fear of heights, there's no roll here. If anybody does have a fear of heights, you are, 25, 30 feet over the water on a wide enough plank. It's probably 18 inches wide. It's not hard to balance on, as long as the fact that you're suspended doesn't by itself bother you. All right. Then no issues. You cross the gangplank, follow Boyette. He leads you not towards the conning tower, but he leads you to an open hatch, sort of midships. And you are now aboard the Arpactic.
Jeez.
The first thing you notice as you step onto the ship is the deck is not level. It is listing to port. Well, Denny might. Sure. You'd estimate somewhere between like 7 and 12 degrees list to port. Steady. It's not moving any more than the relatively calm sea would account for, but it's got a steady portward list, raising the starboard side out of the water. If you want to give me either an education or intelligence, or, well, hang on. I see if something else you might be able to tick would make as much sense. No, not really. Yeah, either education or intelligence.
Nice. Very nice.
Nice. So you step aboard and recognize what you are now able to narrow in is more like a 9 or 10 degree list to port. It occurs to you that the patch you saw on the hull would be below the waterline if it wasn't listing to port.
So Denny will say, sort of to the group, but mostly to the guy that brought us over here, did they list this ship to the side to repair the hull, do you think? Or what are you guys thinking on this?
What do I don't know.
Midshipman looks at you, kind of raises his eyebrows a little bit, looking a little bit impressed. As well, we can't say for sure, sir, but that's our first guess. Yes, they could have flooded the bilges on the port side to raise hull damage above the waterline to repair it. Would have meant they were taking on water until they did that. Haven't gotten down to the bilges yet. Don't know the state, but that's as good a guess as any, certainly.
And he'll motion, like, lead the way where we're going.
So on board the ship, you see, the midshipmen, along with all of you, have flashlights. There are no lights on the ship itself. Well, at this point, you can see at least false dawn off to the east. The sky is beginning to get a little bit lighter. It'll be a bit before the sun actually breaks the horizon, but it's no longer pitch dark out on the ocean. What you can see in the flashlight beams as you walk on the deck of this ship seems pretty much consistent with what the hull looked like. The wooden planking seems relatively okay. Hard weathered, hard beaten, looks like nobody's been maintaining it for quite some time. But the superstructure, the conning tower, the bits of the ship you see, including the railing, that appear to be iron or steel, look quite corroded. Their strength, at least the railing, seems to be still okay. The lines are holding fast. The grappling hooks and the grappling hooks held them, and the knots that are holding them now haven't pulled through or anything. Oh, if you put your hand on it, it's just rough, corroded iron under your touch. Midshipman Boyette leads you to a hatch, roughly amidships, brings you down some stairs, looks back and says, these would have been the crew quarters aboard this ship, and leads you into a narrow corridor, iron walls, wooden plank flooring, lined with doors. The walls also just covered in rust, and leads you back along the corridor past several pairs of doors, door on either side, till you reach a cabin towards the end where the hatch is hanging open, and you look in and you see the doctor standing next to a bunk, shining his flashlight on the bunk. He looks up as you arrive, catches your eye, Doctor, and says, "Yeah, if you wouldn't mind, I'd appreciate a second opinion on this. It's not something I've seen before. I'm wondering if you have."
Yep, the doctor will sling his shotgun back behind him and kind of flare his little overcoat and walk over and kneel down with his own flashlight and shine it on whatever we're looking at here.
Sure. So you take a look at it, and it takes a second for you to figure out what's going on. At first, it looks like somebody has left some kind of fuzzy blanket lying on the bunk. You're not sure what this would possibly have to do with you. But after a few moments, you realize it's not a fuzzy blanket. It's some kind of mold. And as you continue to look at it, it's some kind of mold in an awfully human shape.
Ooh.
And you don't see anything to the shape but mold. It's got volume. It's got dimension. It's not just a flat, like, person-shaped stain. It looks like a body made of or covered in some kind of furry mold or fungus.
Have we, as we walk through the ship, have we experienced any other what would have been life, skeletons, or any sort of? This is the first sign.
Yep. You haven't. You've only seen a very small part of the ship, though. You came up on the deck, lit by flashlight only, went down a hatch, went down this corridor, the doors were closed, into this last room. You haven't seen anything else like this, skeletons, bodies, anything of the sort. But again, you've only seen a very small portion of the ship.
I'm going to ask the surgeon the same question. Is this the first sign of what would have been life?
It's the first I've seen. But I came down through the crew quarters first. This hatch happened to be open. We haven't opened or tried to open the rest of them. I admit I've been here, sort of examining, trying to determine what may have happened here. And if I'm perfectly honest, I was hoping to have another educated pair of eyes before I did any further tests. So anything I find can be corroborated. This feels unusual, and if we found some new discovery, I'd like to have somebody to back up my findings.
The doctor, unmoving in his flashlight, will kind of look back at the rest of the group, specifically Denny, as he has a firearm, and will kind of give him a look like, keep your hand on your pistol just in case whatever this is that should be dead isn't dead. We've experienced that before. But is going to continue forward with the assistance. He's going to look at the mold, not touch it, and probably cover his face with his undershirt or something as he moves in slightly closer. And has this mold, has he seen something like this before? Has he seen a mold that will, one, grow on its own in this shape? Another, is it a mold that would only latch to flesh, as opposed to why is this mold not spread out amongst the bed on covers and things of that nature, etc., medical things?
Sure. Give me a medicine roll.
Sure thing.
And this will scale with success level. Nice. Yeah.
Hold on. What's an extreme success of 96?
Good question. Let's see.
Turns out the doctor minored in mycology in medical school.
I read a lot
19.
of books, I guess. Okay, yeah, it's not worth the push. Or it's not worth the luck. Okay.
All right. So you look at this and you conclude a couple things. First off, the shape and the volume are entirely consistent with there being probably desiccated, but given that it's potentially been 12 years, not abnormally so, body underneath the mold. You suspect there is a person under the mold. You suspect there's a dead person under the mold. It's probably a corpse. Second, the mold itself isn't something you immediately recognize. On the one hand, I mean, molds all share some characteristics, so it shares some familiarity to lots of other fungi, and molds that you've seen. But it doesn't have quite the same color or banding or, I'm going to say, nap, like it's a carpet. I don't know what the right word for that is, as anything you're familiar with. Beyond that, though, it seems odd to you. Like, there are a couple options. If the mold is what killed this person, then you wouldn't expect it to cover the entire body for this long. Insofar as if the mold can feed on a living body, if this is 12 years old, it doesn't have food anymore at this point. It would have consumed everything in there long ago. But if it started growing after death or after desiccation or what have you, if it's feeding on what are essentially the inert remains, there's lots of organic material in this room, which you would expect the mold would also then attack, from bed sheets to wood to lots of other just natural materials that if it's going to feed on a desiccated human corpse, it'd be odd for it to not find anything else in here to begin growing on. So you can't quite reconcile what you're seeing with any of your experience of either fungal infections or post-mortem fungal growth.
So everything you just said, the doctor's going to be, examining, flashlight up and down, looking kind of around, saying these things out loud in a hushed tone, but out loud, just kind of speaking to himself, but also trying to convey what he knows about the situation. He's gonna take a step back, stand up, left hand on his shotgun behind his back, just kind of holding it really. Other hand on the flashlight, clear his throat, and say, either this body hasn't been dead long, or this mold is doing something specific to the cadaver here that I'm not sure what's happening. And then, without moving the flashlight, look over to the surgeon and try to express some sort of what did you think was happening?
He looks excited as you say this. He's nodding along. He says, exactly. It doesn't make sense for the mold to be where it is unless this is a very, very fresh body. And just from the volume and given the thickness of the mold, either that person died of starvation, or it can't be that fresh a cadaver. This is new. I haven't seen nor read about anything like this. I would like to make you my co-author on a paper on this.
Doctor takes his hand off his shotgun, seems a bit perked up, excited about that comment, and will explain some methods that he read about on collecting mold in a contained environment so it doesn't spread to the rest of the crew on the other ship as we bring it back and things of that nature. But caution to, be very careful in storage and things of that nature. But he's going to take a few steps back as he suggests these options, as he presumes the surgeon will begin to collect some of this mold and doesn't know what that's going to bring. So he'll, take 4 or 5 steps back to regain his group as he's talking.
Before you collect, Adele wants to snap a picture.
You can snap a picture, not a problem. In fact,
Hopefully
Dr. Aarons looks at you and says, excellent. We should document the scene. Would you willing to take a few more pictures from some other angles so we can preserve what this looked like upon our arrival?
Sure. Maybe I'll make you a co-author of my book.
I would be flattered, ma'am, flattered.
Denny is not as plussed. He says, "We're not planning on bringing this back to England, are we?"
I mean, ultimately back to New York, certainly. I would stay on board the ship, I presume. He kind of gestures to the midshipman and snaps his fingers to another crewman of the St. Celestine who's walking past. Here, come help me with this. Begins to untuck the sheets and wrap the body in the sheets.
It might be the next penicillin.
It might be. Who can tell? This is unknown to science.
Lois wants to walk around the crew quarters and just to see if there are any other similar bunks.
Sure.
Or anything else. Any other signs of humans. Human
Absolutely.
remain.
So you can. Oh, I forgot to have something open. Oh, for Pete's sake. Apologies. I meant to have this open already to avoid exactly this problem. All right. Yeah, so you can start just trying to open doors along the hallway.
Yeah.
Easy enough. You heading into the room, just opening doors, taking a look.
Opening doors, seeing what I can see.
First door you open,
Got flesh.
you look into a room. It's got another pair of bunks, just like the room you were just in. At first glance, at least, nothing leaps out at you. The bunks aren't made.
Okay. I'm gonna keep going then. Open more doors, look at more bunks.
All right.
I want to confirm that they're all empty.
Sure. You continue opening doors. The rooms do all seem empty. They're in various states of clutter. There's stuff lying around them. They're not in any way tidy. When you get to just short of the other end, so the opposite side, one hatch short of the end you walked in, you open that door, and this room does look a little bit different. You see on the far wall of the room, like some kind of pile or lump of something.
Mm.
It's a gelatinous cube. Don't touch it.
Back up and be like, hey, Danny. Let's see, Doc, are you still busy with that lump over there, or with the mold man? You want to come check something else out?
The
Danny
doctor will have made sure to be behind the exiting surgeon and whoever's helping him as they get the body up out of here.
At this point, they're still wrapping it up. They're being,
Yep.
to their credit, they're being cautious. They've wrapped it thoroughly in the
Okay.
sheet. They've scavenged a sheet from the next one over to wrap it around the seam, and they're securing it with lines.
All right.
For the standards
Adele,
of the time,
I'm looking-
they're being quite careful with it in terms of trying not to spread the fungus. But you also realize at the same time, the doctor would know as well as you do that you were both in that cabin already. So if it's particularly fragile or airborne or whatever, it's too late. But they're taking all reasonable precautions right now to wrap it and secure it before they start moving it. So they haven't started doing anything with the body beyond securing it.
I would still be in that room then.
All right.
All right, Adele,
Okay, what about
Danny.
Lois?
something else.
Then he's very interested in going to a different room,
Right.
so he'll move up
All right,
to
there's
look at the lump.
there's some sort of something in that corner. I was gonna go check it out, but I'd rather have someone watching my back here.
Can we do like a natural world check to see if we recognize what it is?
Is anybody going into the room?
Lois is gonna go into the room,
All right.
step inside the door, and shine her flashlight on it.
You walk into the room and get a little bit closer and shine your flashlight on it. You can tell that it is a large figure of rust, and in fact, it looks human-shaped.
Of rust.
What in God's name?
Anybody who's gone into the room can give me a spot hidden roll.
Nope. Oh wait.
Anyway, are you coming in, or are you just standing in the doorway?
I mean, if you're going in far enough
I'm
that
going in a little further.
more people can sort of file in, then
Hey, it's made out of rust. Let's check it out.
any
Waited in the hallway in case.
not
Nope.
more weird fungus will step in.
Rust isn't like fungus at all.
It was spot hidden.
Yep.
Nice.
You can push or spend luck, of course.
Oh,
Kind of a lot. Or we could just like go up and poke it.
Lick it.
Comparatively, the doctor's very good at spotting hidden things. If you wait or push it and see what happens.
No, I mean, Denny doesn't know he failed a roll, so he's just.
No,
gonna
this
keep-
is why I'm having you roll the stuff in the open so you can make decisions about spending luck or pushing.
True. But
In the cases where they're opposed rolls, I won't tell you what your target is in terms of success
Right.
level, but it's important for you to be able to spend luck or decide to push.
Right.
Adele, are you coming in?
No, Adele was waiting out in the hallway in case you needed help. She could call for help.
Okay.
Yeah, but Denny will keep coming in.
Yeah,
Along
Los,
with it.
Los is going to go closer. And well, I feel like I should poke her with a stick, right? That's what you do in a situation, right?
Usually.
With a stick?
No.
I don't have a stick either. I got a knife. Flashlight.
I mean, you can look around in the room. There could be other items and things.
Or the surgeon and them coming along with the body.
If you want Adele to come in and say, hey, come here, check this out, she'll come in.
At this point, they spent enough time. They've secured the body, and they're beginning to move it down the corridor back towards the stairs.
Okay, I'm following behind them. I'm still way out.
Check it out. Come here. I'm looking around if there's anything in the room that's good for poking.
All right, Adele will come in and see what Lois
So
is
is
talking
this like the shape of a crouching person, or a standing, or a lying down, or?
It looks like somebody sitting on the floor with their back up against the far bulkhead.
Is the doctor going to have to join us in here too?
I was gonna say Denny
Eventually.
will call out to the doc.
He'll
Not
say, yeah,
next way, but
Come look.
yep, just a minute, and I'm just escorting the body. So if you guys are waiting for me, I will make my way in just fine, but I'm waiting till these guys get the body up and out.
Sure.
We can, but not taking my eyes off the lump.
They will have gotten the body up and out. You're heading into the room. You can also roll spot hidden.
Oh, good lord.
about.
I'll push it. I'll push it.
All right.
Push it or use luck?
I'm gonna push it. Can you use luck on a push?
No.
I'll push it. That'll do.
Nice. So now, I'm going to do a couple things. First, we're going to... You find a couple scraps of paper that look like they have been torn out of or fallen out of some kind of journal.
At this point, I will have had shotgun back on chest. I'll walk in and point them out. If they're not directly in front of me, like if they're closer to somebody else, I'll point them out and say, hey, take a look at that. You might want to grab it. If it's right in front of me, I'll bend down and pick it up.
Just gonna grab the papers.
There you go.
Got your hands full. I don't know.
So theoretically, this will show you page 1,
Oh.
and page 2.
What is...
And if you can go, because I don't actually know whether this works and I can't see it from your point of view, if you go to your journals tab, do you have a new journal available to you? Or a new folder, in fact?
Asks darkness beneath the hill and edge of darkness.
It will be Masks New York, but we've also got Masks Peru, which is not
Those are the only
Right.
folders you've got?
to
Edge
me.
of darkness. Darkness beneath. Well,
Yeah, it should be under New York, but there's no third.
It is not under New York. You're no longer in New York,
Oh.
technically. Do you have a folder named Adrift?
No.
Nuts. I'm not sure how to... Well, I'll just have to drag them on over. That's crap.
can, Denny.
Bugger. All right, hang on. I give you
Something F.
There it is.
all right.
No.
I'm going to drag a couple things onto there that you have seen. This is the update to the journaling system has made some things more difficult. There.
Okay.
Those are the 2 pages you have found. And because I'm dumb, I should have done this in the other order. You can also open envelope 04D5. Well, I've stolen the envelope's thunder by showing you the journal entry first. In my defense, I wanted to make sure I knew how to have it so you could see it in Foundry.
Come on, Matt. What the hell? These aren't in alphabetical order?
Nope. Randomized. I'm gonna have to do better next time because I realized because it is truly random, I ended up with several like pairs where the IDs are unfortunately similar. So I'll watch out for the next time and change them so they're all more visually distinct, but you know.
Oh, this is good.
Like
Still alphabetized all mine.
oh good.
Alphanumerical, so it's fine.
But yeah, like 0F98 and 0F9B look awfully the same quickly. Like, well, that's a shame. Feel bad about that. Stupid random numbers.
You feel bad about that, but not Millie. Hey, look, even smaller versions of things in Spanish that I still can't read. Cool.
Does anybody have Spanish as a language?
Lois
Jake
has
does. The
talent
doctor
with
does
this.
not.
Fair enough.
So
You can give me a hard Italian roll.
Denny has French, which is also relatively similar. Would we be able to team up and have some sort of chance of
Tell you what,
other?
go ahead and roll French. If you get a success, Lois can have a bonus die on her Italian roll. Nice. Hard success, you can have 2 bonus dice on your Italian roll, but it does have to be a hard success.
Nice.
Because it isn't actually Spanish, it's Italian.
right.
Oh,
Nice.
wow.
All right.
Right.
In that case,
In that case, Mamma Mia.
Mamma Mia. You should now have the translation visible to you in the journal.
Okay.
Super accelerated person.
Very.
So the lump in the room looks like a person too?
Yep.
Oh, Paco.
Yeah, I debated obscuring the names of the people, but you need some way to refer to them, so you're getting free information on the names of the people that you find any evidence of.
It's like a time loop thing?
So, with my spot hidden, would I have noticed anything extra about the rust, human form rust? Or is it just a dude slumped over that looks rusted out?
Yeah, it just looks like a human-shaped rust sculpture sitting on the floor, leaned up against the bulkhead. You will have noticed that the rust that forms the person looks like it is like joined to the bulkhead behind it.
I don't
And
think
there's
I-
no. Are there
touch it.
any rust paths leading up to the human formed rust, or is it just right there?
Not that you can see, no.
Okay.
The bulkhead itself is covered in rust like all the other metal surfaces in this ship, and the form is rusted to it, but you don't see any kind of rust path. The decking is still wood plank.
So the doctor will lean in as close as he can to Lois and look back into the corridor to see if there's anybody from the previous party looking in at us, like what investigating.
No, you have the room to yourself right now. There, any of the crew are still focused on either exploring the rest of the ship or moving the body out with the doctor.
And the doctor will suggest that Lois pulls out her knife and pokes at the arm to see if it's rust all the way through or if there's a human body underneath. Suggesting that he's, it's been 10 years. That's not a live human anymore, so it's not like you're hurting anybody.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I just hate to think my knife is going to rust as soon as it touches this, but I guess we'll see.
There's stuff lying around. You could find something else to poke it with. There's debris
read-
everywhere.
something, yeah.
It's fine.
Sure, easy enough. You can find just like a length of wooden dowling in this room.
Okay.
For lack of anything else. It's not, like I said, it's not hard to find crap lying around. The place is a mess.
All right, I poke the head area.
All right. You poke at the head. Your first very delicate touch, no effect. Give it a second, slightly firmer touch, and you feel the dowel sink in a little bit, and rust begins to flake off and cascade down, kind of revealing underneath what looks a lot like a human skull. I need everyone in the room to make a sanity roll.
Love it. But we've confirmed that not like a full human body under there, it's just this skull. Nice.
Ignore sanity.
Does this qualify as viewing horrific injuries or the deceased?
Very nice.
It does not.
Okay.
I'll change the die. If you fail, I'll change the die you roll for the sanity loss because it is partially deceased, but this isn't an injury or just a dead body either. This is
Right.
This is new.
Yep.
Adele's fine. In fact, she
Very nice.
So as the rust begins to flake away and then just pour like a fluid, like psh, like pouring sand away from the front, kind of the edges of the rust falling away until roughly half the skull is revealed. You all manage to keep your calm. And under the light of the flashlight, not only can you see that the skull was covered in rust, as you look at it, it looks like portions of the skull itself are rust. Not all of it, but it's streaked in places. Like, part of it has turned into rust.
Contagious rust. Is that even a thing, Doc? I think it's really scary.
You do not
No.
need to make a roll to recognize there is no such thing as contagious rust.
And he'll assure the rest of the group that that is not a recorded incident ever, and will urge the group to just, from here on, hold out until the surgeon gets back so he can add this to his paper or memoir, whatever he's doing here. Yeah, I guess that's all I got. And there's nothing else we can derive from this, like, so you said the pages were ripped out of something?
Yeah, looks like they came from some kind of bound book of some kind.
And
Ooh,
they were
poke
just
it flat. Maybe he's got a journal in there.
and they were just on the ground, free paper.
Oh, you found them
Newspaper.
on one of the bunks, kind of tucked under a cover.
Okay. And they had tear marks.
Yep.
Is there?
Well, damage marks. You weren't
Gotcha.
can't determine if they were. You can't necessarily tell if somebody specifically tore them out, or if they became detached via some damage, decay, poor binding, or whatever else.
Lois is continue to poke the rust pile and see if there's anything else identifiable on the skeleton body.
The more you poke, the more the skeleton is revealed, and the larger the pile of powdered rust, just kind of amorphously sitting on the floor, grows. But you don't find anything else amongst it.
Time out. The doctor's gonna recall the paper that we all just read and how this guy was choking on rust, and now he is a pile of rust, and throw his jacket up over his face and urge everybody to do the same thing. Is everybody doing the same thing?
I mean, what evidence do you have that would help?
Just this paper that says this guy was choking on rust and is now rust. He is rust.
What paper was choking on rust?
The journal, and he pulls out the journal and reads it in whoever, I don't know who translated this, but it was Lois that translated it, actually. So come on, man.
Well, you're the doctor.
As a matter of fact, the doctor's going to start backing out of the room slowly and urge everybody to do the same thing.
All right.
Well, I'm going to go help these lost souls return to their great reward. And Adele's going to keep wandering, looking for ghosts and doing some crystal shit.
There are at this point 2 rooms left in this corridor that you have not looked in.
Lois is going to keep looking into doors. So open the next one.
All right. You open the next one. We'll say it's the one on the same side of the hall. Nothing unusual, though. Again, the beds are unmade. There's a mess in the room, etc., etc. But you don't see anything otherwise of note.
Okay, last one.
You open the last door, look in. Similar situation. Room's a mess, debris, piles of stuff, but you don't see anything. Certainly not as eye-catching as the large pile of human-shaped rust on the far bulkhead.
Can I search a little bit for those for any more journal pages now that we've seen what those look like?
Yeah,
And,
absolutely.
Rooms.
Give me a spot hidden.
Nice.
We'll let that carry through the rest of the corridor. In fact, as you go back to the various rooms you were in previously, now looking inside them for additional evidence. In one of them, you will find another journal. You can open 01B0.
First one.
I will make that, add that journal to what you can see.
It's in English. No, it's not. Is it? What is that? This is sea chanty talk. What's this? Tila target.
Yeah, it's English.
Is it?
Cook's talking, taking it out on me. What his pan got rusty.
I didn't touch them pans in days, and it ain't my job what to clean them. How's I supposed to know who rusted them pans? No?
Yeah. I popped the wrong sheet on the screen for you.
I know what rusted them pans, and it was the monster made it all out of rust what attacked Loomis. Weren't no person what did that, just a big pile of rust with a face and fists what clobbered him down. I told him that Kraut was a John should have never let that Kaiser liquor on board. Now the ship's cursed, and we got to get off her afore it comes to get me next. I told him that Kraut was a John. I don't know what that means. John? What's that mean, Matt?
Hang on, I will.
Is there a translation for this one?
I'll show you the text version.
The ship's cook is mad. He thinks this person rusted his pans, but this man is saying, nay, I touched not thine pans. 'Twas the monster that laid hands on Loomis the other day. Loomis is a German, perhaps, mayhaps. And now the ship is
He's a
cursed.
Kaiser liquor, so I guess.
Yes, he's a Kraut and a Kaiser liquor.
And apparently a Jonah. Whatever
And
a
a
Jonah.
Jonah. Like Jonah and the whale. I don't know what that would mean.
The doctor, with his extensive history of being in the library, reading over text, hours and hours of poring over text, will notice that there is some smeared or ineligible text in between the two entries here, and will shine a flashlight closer over whoever's got the paper, I assume Lois' shoulder, and put his finger under the line and try to make out some semblance of writing.
Sure. You won't. And you will be inspired by the voice of some deity no one can quite understand to recognize that that is merely there for effect and to separate them in time. And not actually text that can be legible.
Matt, what number was this? I couldn't open it up, so I think I might.
Oh, sorry. It was... That's the wrong sheet. 01B0.
This one's straight up saying it's a rust monster. It's a pile of rust with a face.
Not only that, but he was alive and killed somebody
Clobber.
while they were a rust
Clobber.
monster.
It was apparently clobbering time.
And it was a German, and the guy we just were looking at was Hispanic or Italian.
Or at least the notes around him were.
That's fair enough. Yeah, good point. And there's no evidence of any individuals in this room.
Nope.
And then, is that looking for notes in all the rooms we visited?
You will also find, as you continue, 059B.
Lazy jerk.
Oh, got him. That's the watchword? Scot-free, that's the watchword. So, safe to say we found our mold man.
Speaks English.
So the helmsman has been molded over. One of the tinkerers, or perhaps an engineer, was rusted, and the cook, or one of the cooks, had experienced a German rust guy.
And there's an Irishman on board.
And there's an Irishman on board.
Good to know.
They got all walks of life out here.
Sailing ship.
I presume this is also ineligible for time skip.
Yes.
For times. Okay.
Similarly, I didn't take the time to write out weeks worth of journals, so you're finding only scraps of journals.
Absolutely. And are all of these in similar shape as the two first journal entries where they were ripped or pulled or
Yep.
whatever? Okay.
Yep, they look a combination of ragged edges, water damage, and possibly just age.
That we're not finding journals, just journal pages.
Yeah, the question that comes to mind is why are all of these random pages in different people's rooms unless one, they pulled them out of the book and then wrote on them later, which doesn't seem feasible.
Seems like they all must have had some sort of journal.
Yeah, probably.
Man, we've all been to a lot of delis in our lives. What kind of cheese mold looks like that?
10-year-old cheese mold, apparently.
I mean, I like a nice gorgonzola. But...
And at this point, have we discovered all of the rooms and their entries? Or have we looked through all the rooms in extents?
On this corridor, yeah.
The doctor will talk back to the group, mainly Lois, who was kind of upset about having to leave the rusted man's room, and will say, give her all the precautions about, wrapping a cloth around her face, but like if she wants to go back in there, he'll go with her and uncover the rust. But like, let's use our PPE.
I don't know if there's anything left to see in there. Maybe we should check the rest of the ship. I don't need to do a full excavation of that poor skeleton man.
I'm fine with that.
Maybe the officers' quarters or something like that.
Have we heard anything about that's unusual in terms of rustle from the rest of the crew outside of the hall?
No, I mean, there's been talk. The fact that you found a mold corpse made its way through everyone very, very quickly. So you're hearing lots of people talking about the, oddity, creepiness, etc. of that. But beyond that, you haven't heard anything else yet. But you also don't know where the various crew members that have been near you and through here, where else they may have been.
The doctor's main prerogative is to get topside and talk to as many crew members that are kind of delving around in the ship as possible, and tell them to mask up, basically.
All right. Give me a persuasion roll.
Where art thou, persuasion?
Wait.
Or persuade, technically. Nice. You explain the dangers of both airborne mold and airborne rust in this case, and they're not really up on the germ theory of disease to begin with, but you make a very compelling case. You sound well educated. They know you're a doctor. That information made its way around the crew. So they all kind of find scraps of cloth and handkerchiefs and whatnot and try and tie them around their faces as best they can. They're not exactly wearing N95 masks, but they've got cloth over their face, which may help.
Sure. And I'll just be topside waiting for the rest of the group to do whatever they're doing.
Do you guys want to search the crew quarters? Or sorry, this is the crew quarters. Officers' quarters. Other parts of the ships. The boiler room. I mean, we might find this rust monsters, so we should probably stick together and keep your
I'd be more inclined to go up than down.
officers' quarters then.
Fair enough. Layout of this ship is similar enough to yours, because there are only so many layouts of steamships I was going to research, that it is not too difficult for you to find your way to the officers' quarters. You find another hallway of rusted metal bulkheads, wooden plank flooring. There are 8 total rooms down this corridor, and the stairs up to the bridge on the far end.
Who's really good at spot hidden? Who's better than me?
I'm pretty good, but I've already marked my jib, as it were.
36.
Where? 49?
I can roll it. I got 75.
Oh. 55. Yeah. So yeah, hey Doc. Well, I'll open the door. We can go in, but I want you to take a look around. You've got a sharp eye.
Where are you starting?
First door on the right.
All right. You open that door, and it resists your pull a little bit, but with a loud squeal and creak, it pulls open ultimately. You look into nicer quarters than the cabins downstairs. There's only one bunk in here. You're in fact more inclined to almost call it a bed. It's not quite a residential bed, but it's certainly an upgrade from the bunks downstairs. Writing desk along the left-hand wall, bed along the right-hand wall, porthole on the far wall, looking out over the now much lighter Atlantic Ocean. The sun has broken the horizon, and is now probably up an hour or so after everything that's been going on. But this room also, bed unmade, stuff strewn about, but nothing else of note that you can see from the doorway I'm in.
Next room.
The doctor will step in and take a gander with his spot hidden and see if there's any other journal entries or people made of things that they shouldn't be made of.
All right. Give me a spot hidden roll.
It's already, I did it preemptively.
Oh, look at that. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong screen. Yeah. You don't find anything else in particular in here.
Okay.
Next room.
Which one's next?
The next one on the right.
All right.
Just go down the hallway on one side and
Sounds good. You pull that door open, and again, it fights you on this, but it eventually does pull open. The layout of this room is a little bit different. It's wider. It's the same depth, obviously, but the room is wider, and the bunk is pushed back into the far right corner. And in the middle of the room is a desk. A little bit more than a writing desk. It's still comparatively small. There's not much space on the ship. But atop the desk, there is something a little bit different insofar as you see a desiccated corpse slumped over onto the top of the desk.
Just made out of, like, corpse.
Just made out of person. Just a corpse, as far as you can tell.
Still meat on the bones.
It's basically mummified.
Okay.
But it is not rust. It is not covered in mold. It looks like an old, more mummified than decayed, but otherwise cadaver.
Maybe we should search his desk here.
Yeah, the doctor's not going to take lead on that, but he'll come in second or third.
Search the desk.
We're gonna search the desk.
Give me a spot hidden.
Oi.
So you search the desk, and even on that roll, you can open 0EB8.
Oh, man.
Pages. February 13. Jimenez. So that might be the person writing in Spanish.
Got the old English mold. I have reviews. Son of a bitch.
What's that smudge? Second to the last paragraph. Are you looking at that?
Yeah.
The name.
It's blank that it is. I'm sure of it.
Catherine's mind has gone.
Jeez, that's gruesome.
I mean, I'm thinking as soon as we get done searching in here, we might need to petition the captain to maybe set this thing back adrift or burn it or something. Getting a little uncomfortable. Little tightens her handkerchief. Let's keep searching. See what we can find. Get all the information we can, but I don't think we're going to want to stay aboard very long.
I mean, whoever did this is long gone, though, right? It's been adrift for 12 years.
I don't know how long rust monsters with faces and clobbering arms live.
So since this is an actual smudge of text, is there any way I would be able to discern underneath the smudge with my experience of smudged books in the past?
Sure. Give me a library use roll.
Your expertise in terrible doctor handwriting.
Well, that coupled with the fact that I dare to say, an expert in medicine with a 96, could use some sort of context clues, etc., etc. So what would you like me to roll?
Library use.
Cool. That'll do.
You can't be completely certain, but best you can make out, your best guess is it starts out, I know what.
Sure that I am off beyond hope.
I don't know. I think the author's getting a little crazy and talking about their rations of rum. So
The doctor reading the last text paragraph, the last text in the paragraph, would look up and kind of take the butt of his shotgun and rummage the body, hopefully flipping it over and probably finding a bullet hole on his head.
Yep. As you turn the body over, you see it slumps over, and you see just underneath it is a rifle, business end pointing up. And as you look up and behind him, you recognize that not all the brown on the bulkheads is rust. And I would like everyone to make a sanity roll. For Denny, this is just death or injury.
Denny doesn't have to roll.
Cool. Nice.
We're all sane.
Lois has absolutely seen this before.
You all take his evident suicide in stride.
Yeah, that makes sense.
He didn't turn
Rather
into a
go-
monster, so, you know.
I mean, that's probably the best possible outcome, huh?
Also, after reading that, the doctor's going to, if he can somehow, be more extensive in his search in the room of evidence that he wrote what he thought this was down somewhere.
Sure.
I don't know if he can, but
Yeah, we'll use your existing spot hidden because you already kind of tossed the room. You don't find any additional context or journal pages or whatnot.
okay.
Room. What was there, 6?
8.
8. That was 3. 2.
As you come out of the doctor's cabin, you hear shouting and a scream from somewhere downstairs.
Whoop.
Love to hear that.
Found our rust monster.
And that is where we will park the session for tonight, since it is, 1
Right.
a.m. out in North Carolina.
Oh man. Oh man.
Creepy. I'm having nightmares about ghost ships. Is this an X-Files episode? I feel like there was an X-Files episode.
There's always a ghost.
Hey, you should go watch 1899 before bed.
Let's go to sleep with that on. Right.
No rust monsters per se, but
Or Ghost Ship. That's Rob's favorite movie.
One of the best.
I love Ghost Ship.
oh shit, I've never seen it.
That's the one where it starts off with the wire that cuts everyone in half.
Good lord.
Scene's awesome.
Oh yeah, the front picture is just a creepy girl with her hair tied real tight back. Love it. Love it. All right, awesome. Okay, I'm excited. Next Friday I will not be available, and the following Friday I will also not be available. I hope that doesn't throw any wrenches.
Next Friday, I am not available. Rob is.
Yeah, so next Friday is
7th.
the 7th. Right.
Art Fair on the Square.
The Friday
Next
that
day.
so the next 2 Fridays after that, the 14th and the 21st, we are not available.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what the internet will be like up there, so I will not promise to run a session on the 21st. But we'll be out of town with not quite no, but useless internet access on the 14th. So we will. Yeah, we'll plan it. I'll plan to run Pathfinder on Friday, and we'll see how that goes. Depending who's all available and/or wants to run someone else's characters, I may find something else to do. But we'll get together. Anybody who can, we'll get together on Friday and find something.
I think it's just going to be you and Rob because I'm going to be traveling to Madison for Art Fair in the Square
Oh,
with my mom on Saturday.
well then. Well,
In that case,
That said, if we don't want to have a month hiatus, I'm available not next Friday, but Monday. I don't know what people's schedules look like then. If we want to do like a 2-hour thing or something short. And Tuesday as well. But I
We're
know
available
everybody has
Monday.
kids.
Tuesday's rough. Monday potentially. If we want
We're not-
to do a Monday, I would continue with Cthulhu.
I don't want to continue unless everybody's available also.
Right, I'm putting that out there. Yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
going to run an out of band session and have somebody not able to make it. But everybody can check schedules and whatnot. But I don't see a problem with a Monday.
We're going to be out of town on the 10th, so not that Monday. Any other Monday is fine.
All right.
You guys will be out of town too, though. So.
Yeah, we may just be on hiatus for a bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Add some suspense.
Yep.
yeah.
Ratchet up the tension. Absence and hearts and fonder and whatnot.
Yeah.
Mm.
All right. Well, Everybody enjoy their summer vacations, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Indeed.
And I'll see you guys in a month or so.
Yep. I'll keep everyone posted as to what's happening when. Yep.